The world center of racing has been the BSR center of close finishes as of late, and we expect nothing short of spectacular racing again today. Touring cars, points battles, the high banks of Daytona, yeah, it's all coming together. It's BSRTC Round 9 at Daytona. Hi, welcome to Pit Stop TV. I had to wait for the beat drop there. It was right there, like, I just had to let that happen. But welcome to Pit Stop TV, the virtual Daytona International Speedway. I'm Andrew Carnoy, the fourth with JP Costa joining me. It's another go-around for Daytona Beach here, JP. But the BSRTC crowd does things just a little bit differently than the Miatas on Tuesdays. We're expecting a lot of the same great racing, a lot of the same great drafting, but maybe just a little more spread out in some cases. And front-wheel drive cars are going to be a little tougher to just match the throttle and go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. The nature of the cars, the different natures between a rear-wheel drive Miata and obviously the front-wheel drive TCRs tonight is going to bring a few differences here and there. But as you mentioned, we're probably going to have the same crazy finishes, the same battles in different ways, more than the other. But obviously the draft is still going to be very, very apparent here today. And that's the thing that we love about Daytona, isn't it, Andrew? Sometimes that unpredictability of the draft coming up to the tri-oval.
Yeah, there's a lot to love about Daytona, no matter what cars you bring here or when you bring them here. But hey, we are in, it looks like, late afternoon or somewhere in the afternoon as one flight takes off there off the backstretch. But it does look like we're in the afternoon here for this first race of the day. Let's go ahead and check out the weather coming into race number 1. 65 degrees in the air, 66 on track. That looks eerily familiar to race 1 on Tuesday. So another one of those kind of late afternoon cold races to start things off, and that's going to mean they have a lot of grip.
Yeah, absolutely. That should make things a little bit interesting, Andrew. Especially, they're going to need a bit of grip down into turn 1. It's obviously, I guess, a trouble spot for many. You come in so fast after the exit of the bus stop, and, well, that's a trouble spot. Obviously, then you head into the S's and International Horseshoe. We saw some troubles there on Tuesdays. I don't expect to see too much. Then, obviously, the kink in the West Horseshoe. That might be interesting, Andrew. And, well, as we exit the Horseshoe, just one more corner before we enter the oval section.
And once you are back up onto the oval, it is just full throttle, obviously. These cars will handle it. You get down to the bus stop, and that's the most crucial corner, I think, on this entire track. You know, you have to get it right for it's a great passing opportunity. You have to get it right on exit to get yourself up back onto the oval for NASCAR 3 and 4, and to complete the lap. Everything that is a straight line here is important, and that includes even the run between the International Horseshoe down to the kink and even to the West Horseshoe. Every straightaway here is so important. It always is at Daytona, even if it's on the oval. Of course, the straightaways are important. You have to maximize your potential on the straightaways, no matter what car here, no matter what car you're driving here, no matter what track you're driving here. The straightaways at Daytona are always so important. Let's check out the standings coming into today, round number 9 of 10. James Holman back on top, JP. We've seen this swap of position between Holman and Seal, and McEwen is starting to get a little bit closer. He's starting to get back into this battle.
Yeah, absolutely. That change between the lead is obviously something very nice to look forward to as we head into the second to last round. And obviously McEwen kind of getting into, I guess, a rhythm, you can say, getting that momentum that could really help him today. And then obviously Joe Winter a bit behind. James Neves still commanding in the lead. Almost 100 points looks like there of Craig Schill, and Ian Manor is very close for that second place in the Pro-Am battles, just behind Craig, just 6 points. So it's going to be very interesting. Fiona, as usual, kind of running away with the title, 200 and something points ahead of Alistair Hatcher. It's looking good, Andrew, but that gap could really come down depending on the results of tonight's race.
Yeah, Fiona isn't out of this just yet. It's what, 112 points or so, 212 points rather. So, you know, certainly a large cushion for Fiona to sit on there, but you can't get too complacent. You can't get too relaxed at a place like Daytona, and especially with the smaller field we're looking at a maximum of 20 cars potentially for today's races. So a tighter field, a smaller field is going to mean there's less points up for grabs, and really that puts the onus on Alistair Hatcher and everybody who's coming from behind to really execute today. Michael Seal as well, and actually looking through the grid, I don't see Michael Seal here. I don't know that I even see James Holman, and yeah, I don't see either one here so far in race number 1. You know who I do see, though, is Andy McEwen, and that's going to be big as we go into today and get through our 4 races. Of course, this is round number 9, as I mentioned, of 10. Sebring next week is round number 11, and that wraps things up. So we are right here, ready to crown a champion. These points matter. You can't drop next week in your results, in your drop weeks. next week has to count. So this is the final week that you can potentially drop. That's maybe why we're not seeing James Holman or Michael Steele here today. And it looks like really, I don't see much at all of RD Simsport today. So definitely a bit more of an absent effort from them. Onto the track, though, qualifying is well underway. You've seen Chris Knox recently go to the top of the board, and he is still there in car 88. Nick Clibbins is here once again. You're looking at, though, the teammates at Time from Motorsport of James Neve and Andy McEwen. They are nose to tail on the racetrack, nose to tail on the qualifying standings, and Neve has the edge.
Yeah, Neve currently has a 1/10 of a second gap over his teammate McEwen. And Andrew, I'm not quite sure, but if I'm McEwen, I think I prefer to start in third place. Remember last season how troublesome the starts were on the TCRs, the cars dropping from the high banking? So I'm not quite sure if you want to start on the outside, it would really be tricky. But since we might not have, I think we're only going to have one Audi, we might not see a lot of people struggling or a lot of people getting amazing starts. But out of the bus stop, McEwen's going to get a good run out of here on Neve, and he should get the position. This is 592. This is Roger Morton, currently sitting in 8th place. He's 2nd place in the Pro-Am class, all the way up in 8th place. So good qualifying for him so far.
And Roger just went up to that spot as well, passing Carl Hardy, Sam Smith, and more. Sam Smith, by the way, sporting purple colors now here in BSRTC. I like the change. And he'll come down to the bus stop, and I don't see the Excite logos on that car, but I believe still very much a part of that team. Nick Clemens, of course, sporting one of their new Excite liveries. We've seen so little of Team Excite in this series, aside from Sam Smith, and I think he's had a teammate a couple of times, but we've seen so little of Excite. It's good to see Excite with a larger presence now in BSRTC. The top amateur driver currently qualifying is Duncan Cope, and he'll come to a stop and looks like wrap up his run, but Fiona Siddons is 2nd and Alistair Hatcher 3rd. We have a light field today.
Yeah, very light field, Andrew. I wonder if people are taking it easy. As you mentioned while you were talking about the points, maybe just using this or as their drop week, drop a few points. But we know how difficult this race can be. It's such a wild card race, just due to the results can change at any moment in time. I'm not quite sure the strategy works on there, but, well, it's still a lot of fun to race around here, especially with the unpredictability. And Fiona currently less than half a tenth, or just around a half a tenth ahead of Alistair Hatcher. It's a really close qualifying session for the amateurs.
Yeah, Fiona needs about 2.5 seconds up to pole, but only 3.5 tenths up to Duncan Cope for pole in amateur competition. Alistair Hatcher, Rob Jackson, the last two cars, able to take a time. It looks like Shirley, Toon, Smith, and Humberstone not either electing not to qualify or not able to qualify today via penalties. Joe Winter there pulling off the track. Shane Piggott out of the West Horseshoe, headed down to turn number 6. And that's really about everybody that we've gone through so far today. I think Craig Schill and Ian Manor is the only two cars we've not looked at. Here's Ian into the bus stop, and Craig Schill right in front of him. I think these are the only two cars we haven't seen yet today, aside from Chris Knox. Yeah, and the cars that haven't, I guess Rob Jackson, and the cars that haven't been able to turn a lap time. So already through the field, this is really odd. We usually see at least 20. But JP, that means, again, these guys are going to get more points over the guys who are not racing, but it's more difficult in this race to make up points on the drivers who are here. So for Alistair Hatcher, for Andy McEwen, it's going to be tough to make up those points. But, well, I say that for McEwen, but actually the two guys ahead of him are in tiers. So he should actually walk out of today with the championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as he finishes the 4 races, Andrew, and as usual, I'm going to knock on wood, as long as he crosses the finish line 4 times in good positions, he might take the championship lead. And as you mentioned, for Alistair, it's going to be a tougher job because Fiona, if she finishes as well the races, it's going to be harder for, to get a large gap between them. But yeah, it's such an odd thing to see so little cars, even though we have 20, which is a good overall number for league. We're so used to, remember the first season, we had over 40 cars at one point? It's insane to only see pretty much half of that, but sometimes, less is more.
Well, really, it just comes down to drivers opting to pull out of the championship after they see that they feel like, they don't have a chance or whatever. But I don't subscribe to that thought of thinking. I always think you should just always go for it the entire season. You might get positions in the standings that you didn't imagine you could get, but we'll see if drivers come back next week and see. We're gonna imagine they should, considering you can't drop that round. Upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV, since we have a moment to talk about it before we go racing for race number 1. Here's a look at them. Texas Motor Speedway on Sunday for the MPI Cup Series All-Star Race, and that is with Indy cars, not the NASCAR Cup Series cars, but Indy cars. In fact, not even the current Indy cars that were used in last night's IRL Indianapolis 500. No, the DW12 from the early 2010s, if you will. That's so weird to think about and so weird to say, but regardless, the last generation of IndyCar will be used on Sunday for the All-Star Race. And then on Tuesday, you can see Sebring enters the fold here for BSR with the MX-5s on Tuesday. And, well, Wednesday, you see the Indianapolis Raceway Park for the Outlaw Sim Series, a track not often used, and we're expecting sunset conditions at least some point throughout each of these races as well. BSR, we don't know, obviously. We have no clue what they're going to run, but we tend to expect at least sunset once. But for Texas Sunday, we expect some sunset, and for Wednesday at IRP, we expect, well, full nighttime, actually. So a lot of racing under the lights coming up here, JP, as we're going to start race 1, oddly enough, in the sunlight here at Daytona. Let's go ahead and run through our starting grid. On pole, we've got car number 88, Chris Knox, just a little ways over James Neve in that number 507. Starting third, it's Andy McEwen in the 18 car. I'm trying to find a camera here, but I guess we'll wait on it. Mick Anderson will start from the fourth spot for RD Simsport. Joe Winter fifth, Shane Piggott sixth, and Sam Smith, the second of the Pro-Am qualifiers, will start from seventh with Nick Clemens eighth. And around out your top 10, it's Roger Morton and Carl Hardy.
Starting row number 6 in 11th place, we have Craig Schill. Alongside him, Ian Manners in 12th. 13th place, Andrew, and starting row number 7 on the inside lane, we should have the car of number, roll the drums, there we go, Duncan Cope setting the amateur pole position. Fiona Siddons, the amateur pole leader, lining up in 14th. Alistair Hatcher, runner-up in points so far, starting in 15th, and Rob Jackson in 16th place. 17th place, starting row number 9, we're going to have Scott Smith on the outside, Martin Shirley on the outside in 18th place, and row number 10, we're going to have Glenn Humberstone and Sir Alan Toon.
10 seconds to go, it looks like, before we roll off the grid, and I believe Chris Knox may have a pit lane starting penalty. I believe that's why he's not on the grid. Anderson has joined the grid. Oh, never mind. There's Chris Knox. So it looks like he is able to start on the grid, and never mind. There you go. So, red lights on, waiting on green lights here for race 1 at Daytona International Speedway. Chris Knox on pole, then James Neve and Andy McEwen, and already cars all over the place off to start. Front-wheel drive cars starting on banking, it's always tough. Shane Piggott through the pit lane. I wonder if he got turned there as one car goes sideways. Carl Hardy spinning into the International Horseshoe. He takes out his teammate. Big contact for several cars.
Oh no, that was a massive hit between the teammates. I think one of them is able to get out, but I mean, it was pretty much like a drift competition, Andrew. We saw 2 cars exiting the pit lane, looks like. There is Chris Knox, one of them. And is he leading, actually?
He didn't start from the pits.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, just completely misread that. Well, there we go. Well, back racing, Chris Knox currently has a good lead. His teammate in second place. And, yeah, Andrew, that lead is good. But as we know in Daytona, I don't think that'll last unless he breaks away from that 1.5 second range.
He's got over a second currently to Mick Anderson. Quite a lead for Chris Knox already. We'll let lap 1 go complete as per usual and go back and see what happened. There in the International Horseshoe, you can see the field is broken up big time. We're going to have, I think, one of the quieter rounds all day here in race number 1. Mick Anderson down to the bus stop ahead of James Neve, Andy McEwen, and Joe Winter.
You can see there the 2 teammates trying to work together, and then you can see, well, an exemplary car just behind. And now the teammates, well, Andrew, Joe Winter, you can see just following up, trying to get the slipstream. But now the teammates, well, actually, you're not going to give a bump draft. I don't recall if last season we had a bit of trouble in the TCR's bump drafting, but I don't recall if we had, those issues. But now heading out of the banking into the stadium section, I guess you can say, heading into the tri-oval, you can see there RD Sim Sport on the inside. Can he hold off for the second place? Not quite. Maybe for the third. I don't think he will be able to, Andrew, but heading into turn number 1, the number 66 has the inside line, goes deep on the braking, loses the car a little bit, but manages to catch it. Mick Anderson with a fine piece of driving right there.
Lap 1 complete. Let's see what happened there in the International Horseshoe. Lap number 1. There was big issues with several cars, and it really seems like it starts with Roger Morton and Carl Hardy. So we'll see here. They start deeper in the field. Hardy's already down to about 15th position or so in that battle with Duncan Cope. Lunges around the outside, takes out a cone on his way. And somewhere in there, I believe Piggott may have actually started from the pit lane.
You see Piggott leaving the pit lane. Now, I wonder if there was a bit of contact.
Grass there. Fiona went clear out there. Hardy got the grass, gets corrected, comes back over across the track. Ian Manners takes out Sam Smith. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness, indeed, Andrew. I mean, so many things happened at once. It was really hard to track it, but you saw Fiona Siddons. That was a good spot right there, just going way wide. I wonder, maybe there was just a bit of contact. We're going to follow that right now. So you can see headed into turn number 1. So far, so good. Misses a bit of contact there. Oh, and then, yeah, just touches there. I'm not quite sure who that was. With Alistair Hatcher. Oh, so championship contenders touching. And then Fiona, well, pretty much has nowhere to go, Andrew. And
wow.
Now, yeah, that's the worst spot I think you can rejoin it. Oh, straight back to the pit lane.
Thankfully, got the car stopped before making contact with somebody else. That would have been tremendously terrible. There had Fiona let that car roll. So props to Fiona for getting that car stopped. Back to live picture, though, when Chris Knox is leading on lap number 2. And JP, he's got over 2 seconds of a lead. This is rare to see at Daytona. McEwen is second, and then Anderson and Neve. We'll see if they can link up together and start chasing down car 88.
Well, they need to avoid any sort of battling, and at this moment, Mick Anderson can really upset these two cars right here. He can really just, well, pretty much be a roadblock trying to fit between them. Oh, as he again the car into the braking zone. So maybe the Honda Civic is not too happy about braking there. You can see more Hondas, Andrew, losing a bit on the entry. It's quite odd to see.
Seems like they're having trouble with compression over the bumps at a turn 1, and you know, with the weight shifting and the compression there in the rear, it just seems like the rear is all over the place. They're skating around. So we'll have to follow up on that with a Honda driver at some point today. Scott Smith is here. He's over Craig Schill and Rob Jackson currently, as Duncan Cope there battling with the Pro-Am driver of Jackson. And these are all the battles kind of in the second group. So this is 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, even 11th right behind these guys. Shane Piggott in the... Whoa! Wow!
He broke on the grass, and you tried to go for a move on the inside of Rob Jackson, I think it was, and ended up losing the car. Now he's going to have to do a 3-point turn. He was running such a good race, and that's actually going to promote Andrew for 13th place. Sir Alan Toon for the lead of the amateur class.
You're right, Sir Alan Toon. My goodness, this is great. Duncan Cope only a couple of seconds back though, and could make that time up. I know Alan made a Facebook post earlier today, always positive as usual, but well, just looking forward to today. I'm not really knowing what was going to come of it. In fact, let me go ahead and pull that post up, actually. Let me go ahead and refresh myself on. Yes, it is not everyone's flask of coffee. That's what I noticed is interesting wording. I love that from Sir Alan Toon as he leads on the backstretch. Not everyone's flask of coffee.
That's an interesting... I don't think I've ever heard the word flask before. Oh, that's interesting. And I kind of know what it is just by the sound of it. But yeah, interesting to see. And well, so far he's done such a fantastic, clean race. He started in 20th, as you showed, and he's currently 13th. So 7th spot made. Now looks like he's going to be going side by side with Roger Morton, who takes the water line to come back in the slipstream to try to get the slingshot. But we know how clean Sir Alan Toon is, Andrew. And you can see right here with Morton, just moves on the last minute. Kind of, Sir Alan Toon actually quite nice, squeezes him into the barrier, but is going to retain the 13th place for now. So Roger is not getting, a bit of damage. Maybe that's holding him back on the straightaway.
Remember, we saw that on lap 1 and at turn number 3, the International Horseshoe. For a moment, McEwen had made up a couple of tenths on Chris Knox up front, but now he's lost that. Anderson hounding him, I'd imagine, is holding him up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Anderson right now, it's Knox's best friend other than teammate. He can really just start going for moves and putting his nose in places to not allow McEwen and obviously Neve to essentially work together as a team and obviously catch up Chris Knox. So Right here, he's doing everything he can as a teammate to avoid, just catching his teammate up. And Andrew, I don't think we've ever saw a car pulling out a 2.4-second lead, as Glenn Humberstone looks like he had a massive impact at some point.
I believe this is rather recent as well for Glenn. About 30 seconds ago, something happened. So we'll go back and get a look at it. This may have been our long-lost tire barrier, or not tire barrier, but pit wall incident that we had last year and haven't seen yet this year until maybe now. This is it at turn 1. Well, does he go wide? Oh, man, it is a tire barrier. Well, the pit wall. My goodness.
And we saw this last season, too, and we almost saw it. We saw that actually on Tuesday for a little bit, didn't we? Just not in this, I guess, impact, such a strong impact. We saw car brushing, but yeah, this was a massive one. And again, a Honda Civic, you can see there, maybe the compression on the bumps and you just set him up loose, and massive hit.
Yeah, it's something about the way these cars compressing in the rear is really getting them sideways. So it's going to be a problem throughout the course of the day, it seems like. As here we go, battle for second once again. Mick Anderson, he goes purple in the pink and black 66. As you can see, Nick Clibbins actually goes purple that lap a little bit faster. Clibbins at the back end of this group, but that Honda Civic out front of this group, it's having troubles into one, as is everybody else, but otherwise, it seems pretty fast.
Oh, he goes a bit too wide. Can he get it slowed down? Yes, Andrew, he is very fast currently, and he's doing everything he can to help his teammate. You can see the gap is already up to nearly 3 seconds as Ian Manners comes back to the pit lane, maybe to serve some repairs. But you can see right here, Anderson and McEwen going side-by-side through the kink, now into the second horseshoe. Who's going to have the edge? McEwen being squeezed into the apex, but he's going to be able to go side-by-side, actually. So Anderson not holding back at all, Andrew, and they're still going to go side-by-side through turn 6.
McEwen has to give that spot up. It's now a gap of 3 seconds to Chris Knox. I think he can go ahead and write car 88 in the winner slot for this one. This is really bizarre. It seems like a single car faster than the draft for once, and it really is because of this road course section where these guys get racing. And even at the bus stop, it seems like they're just making passes, throwing themselves down. McEwen, though, battling for second, back up to the outside of Anderson.
And you can see he's going to get a good run right here, and Anderson is going to have to throw a lunge down into the bus stop if he wants to keep McEwen in second place. Looks like he's just going to be holding back, thinking about the exit of the bus stop. Now lining up the car number 18. Where will he go? Will he maybe push McEwen? I highly doubt so, but if he doesn't, Neve will definitely try to help his teammate. And you can see just right here, Andrew, the run coming up the slipstream, playing its part, and now the Honda is really going to be lining up, going to be looking to the outside, but he's going to be losing momentum.
McEwen losing speed here as here comes Neve to help him out. A big shove. That's going to point him back towards the bottom and maybe ahead of Anderson on the line. Yes, it does. But again, well, as we've seen before, we're racing, of course, at the end of the last lap. This stuff doesn't really matter. All they're doing is slowing each other up. If they were to get single file, they might actually benefit from it. But who wants to just ride single file? Why wouldn't you race? And so we'll see. You know, Chris Knox, I think, before has let off and given up time to make it a race. We'll see if he does that here.
I was just gonna mention, he pulled a handbrake coming into the International Horseshoe, didn't he? So could he do this today? I don't know. So far, it seems like he's happy to just run away. The gap is nearly 4 seconds already to second place. But yeah, he's just running away with this race. You can see this little battle right here. It looks like it may be just inside or just outside the top 10.
Craig Schill, Scott Smith, Rob Jackson, Shane Piggott, and Martin Shirley has dropped off of these guys. Shirley battling here with really nobody. He's got 6 seconds fore and aft. And it's Duncan Cope and Roger Morton behind him. Then Sir Alan Toon. So Cope has gone back on by Alan Toon for the amateur race lead. But Duncan a little loose there into the West Horseshoe.
Yeah, just a little bit loose that out. He obviously had issues before right there, Andrew, but he broke on the grass. So I wonder if he's just struggling a bit with confidence. But I mean, he's in a good form, isn't he? I mean, that out is working well for him, and I'm happy to see how well he's doing. And meanwhile, Mick Anderson, well, just again took away second place, kind of gets off. That could be a slowdown.
Back up onto the oval. Nick Clibbin sitting back of these guys. I wonder what he's trying to do at this point. As you see 3 cars go to the top now. You can also see Winter's kind of deciding where does he want to go. Does he want to go high, low, in the middle, on the outside, the apron, sit back? Decisions for Joe Winter here as we will take 2 laps to go in race number 1.
Does he want to take a flask of coffee as well, Andrew? Just maybe to speed up a couple of things. But you can see it right here. Clibbins has the best spot in the house, I'd say, just to watch how things develop, to maybe line up a move on this final few laps. We're going to have to wait and see what awaits the car number 13. But up ahead is just McEwen and Anderson. Seems like they're only the two cars that can keep swapping positions. I'm not quite sure if Neve and Winter are waiting, but yeah, it's all about the 18 and the 66.
The SimTech Racing number 11 has been 5th place about the entire day, or the entire race so far. Now, smaller invert's going to match the smaller field, but we might see a lot more cars than we expected get flipped around here at Daytona, maybe even fewer cars than we expected. I don't think there's really any expectations you can line up as Neve is going to sit back, so I wonder where Winter might work out into this, and I wonder if that's on his mind at this point, if he's just trying to gear up for a win in race 2.
Could definitely be, Andrew. Right, that's a good strategy sometimes, just to wait for race number 2. Currently, he seems pretty safe, right? He's not going for moves. We haven't even seen him switching up positions with Neve or Klibben, so I wonder what those two, what the strategy is going to be for the number 11, the number 13 as well. But I guess, the answer is coming up on, well, maybe the next lap.
Down to the bus stop, McEwen on the inside, then it's Mick Anderson outside. Neve still trying to sit behind him and wait. Holding patterns is 5 seconds up the road is Chris Knox. He's just running a fantastic pace. He's been running 1:56.1s, and that was over a second faster than McEwen's last lap time. He's just out here on his own thing. I mean, that's just all there is to it. White flag is out.
Just like that, he's going to be taking the white flag for race number 1. As you mentioned, a controlled pace, a really strong pace, and he's just going to be running away. Meanwhile, McEwen once again goes down the inside of turn number 1. This time, Neve has kind of a nose in there, and he's going to go side by side with Mick Anderson once again, but Mick is going to have that inside line, Andrew, through the International Horseshoe, could really defend that second place for now and get himself actually a good enough gap to McEwen.
Ooh, side by side there, Neve and Winter now. And this is actually hurting Nick Klibbins. This might bring Nick Klibbins a little too far back of McEwen to race for second. We'll see what happens. As there they go down to turn number 5, the West Horseshoe. Now they get back single file. That's going to open the door back up, I think, for Klibbins once we get back onto the oval. Starting to make up a little bit of time on Chris Knox. A little more orderly in the road course this time as Winter looks to the inside of Neve. Thought about a move, couldn't quite make it as Knox is already up into NASCAR 1.
Yeah, Knox is 5 seconds up the road. He can only watch it from his relative box, and he just has to hit one more braking zone, Andrew, before he comes home, to take the W on race number 1. Meanwhile, it's all about Mick Anderson and James Neve. Can they line up maybe an upset for second place, Andrew? They're in the best position. You can see here McEwen kind of slowing everyone down, looks like. And now it's going to be the most important exit. And what will Neve do? Because I think Neve is going to have to go on his own.
Mick Anderson sitting right behind Andy McEwen. Getting that draft. Here comes the run for car 66. Meanwhile, his teammate, car 88, Chris Knox, is up out of NASCAR 4 and will come along and collect a very quiet and easy, by comparison, race win. Anderson, McEwen, side by side. Neve is going to help Anderson. Now looks to the top side, 3 wide, trying to make a move for himself and across the line. Anderson takes second. Then it's Neve and McEwen.
Wow, an RG Sim Sport 1-2. I don't think McEwen is going to be too happy about his teammate maybe helping out. But look at this finish, Andrew. I think this is for 7th.
And Scott Smith takes 7th over Craig Schill, and that is good for 2nd in Pro-Am. The win in Pro-Am will still go the way of Duncan Cope. Alan Toon dropped down to the 15th spot, and there's Cope across the line in a dead heat almost with Roger Morton.
Yeah, very close finishes throughout the feud. Obviously, I guess Mick Anderson, James Neve, McEwen is one of them. Scott Smith and Craig Schill, I mean, they were separated by, it looks like, 30 thousandths of a second. And then obviously Duncan Cope and Roger Morton as well, 30 thousandths of a second. Really close finishes, Andrew. Kind of a quiet race, pretty much 3 groups, wasn't it?
A very quiet first race of the day. We'll see if that changes throughout the course of the afternoon. Ian Manners up out of NASCAR turn 4 and coming to the start-finish line to wrap up race number 1. And Manners will finish 17th position ahead of Sam Smith, who's down on the apron right now. I think trying to have some fun.
Yeah, maybe just trying to have some fun, finish off this race, and line himself up for the second one. Hopefully, he definitely wants the invert to catch him out, Andrew, doesn't he? Imagine if it's just 17 cars inverted, and yeah, you can see quite a bit of damage to that car. And right now, he crosses the line, the last car to do so.
That car's steering is just a little bit off. Let's go ahead and get ready then for our first invert of the day. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this goes, JP, and how we flip this field around. Let's go ahead and get a spin on for the first time all afternoon. And it's not going to be 19. It's not going to be 10. It might be full. It is going to be full.
Interesting. On the first race, we already get a full invert, but only 18 drivers are qualified.
And Alistair Hatcher, who actually got a penalty on that last lap, will now get pole. He was dropped to 18th in the order, which qualifies him perfectly to start on pole now. Fiona Siddons and Glenn Humberstone are the only two cars that are not eligible for the invert and will not start up front. Let's go ahead and bring up our race 1 results then.
And Chris Knox wins the race comfortably, 4.2 seconds ahead of Mick Enders and his teammate. James Neve wins the Pro-Am class in 3rd place ahead of Andrew McEwen in 4th. Joe Winter is going to finish in 5th place ahead of the number 13 of Nick Clibbins. Then we had a really close finish for 2nd place in the Pro-Am. 7th place goes the way of Scott Smith ahead of Craig Schill. Rob Jackson finishes just behind those two in 9th place, and Shane Piggott finishes in 10th.
Finishing 11th, you'll find Martin Shirley in car 5 over Duncan Cope, the amateur race winner. Then Roger Morton in 13th, Carl Hardy 14th, and Sir Alan Toon makes the top 15. Ian Manners, Sam Smith, Alistair Hatcher, your final cars in the lead lap. Alistair getting a penalty on that last lap, I do believe. Glenn Humberstone goes 19th, and Fiona Siddons 20th. That means that, again, Alistair Hatcher is at the top of your 18-car invert. That's not at all what I expected for race number 1's invert, but there you go. 18 cars in the first one, and Chris Knox is ready to talk to you, JP, as he is now starting 18th in race number 2.
So, Chris, I mean, the Super Sender actually didn't have to send too much in race number 1, did he?
No, that was fairly straightforward, and the first race ever with 0x in TCR, which is very rare as well.
There you go. Last season, Andrew actually alluded to it on the broadcast. You kind of pulled a handbrake a little bit to bring the competition to you. Did you think about going to do that actually on this race?
For sure. I was obviously in chat with Mick Anderson behind, and his race looked a lot more exciting than mine. So it did cross my mind to drop back and go in the mix. But I thought I'll maybe get one win in the bag and then go have a bit of fun in the following races.
And obviously, leading this race so comfortably kind of, I guess, gives you the back foot to how McEwen and how Neve were racing on race number 1. Do you think that can set you back a little bit on having those runs, planning out your runs for the final lap?
Well, the thing with this one, I had to get off the line well, and I thought if I get off the line well and push the first lap, I should be able to break the toe. And I think I had 1.3 going on to NASCAR 2 on the first lap, and they must have held each other up enough just to break the toe, and then I just managed to kind of eke out like 2-3 tenths a lap. But yeah, if I'm in the mix for race 2, there's no chance of getting away, as demonstrated by the guys behind me.
And now starting race number 2 in 18th spot, what's going to be the strategy?
Win it.
Oh, there you go. I like that. Super Sender is absolutely going to send it. Well, Chris, I'm going to wish you the best of luck for race number 2, and hopefully we can talk to you then.
Cool. See you guys later.
Well, Andrew, that was Chris Knox. A quiet race for him. I don't think we say that too often about Chris.
No.
But I mean, he has his name Super Sender for one reason, right? But yeah, not often we see that. But I mean, the next few ones are looking good for us, I think.
A quiet race number 1 means we might be in store for one of the least wild card races or rounds that we could possibly imagine here at the Daytona International Speedway. Daytona is always a wild card no matter what you bring here. NASCAR, touring cars, Miatas, IMSA, doesn't matter what you bring here. Again, it is always some kind of wild card, but maybe not today. Race 1 goes in the books the way of Chris Knox. James Neve wins in Pro-Am, then Duncan Cope in Am, and we will get ready for race number 2. Don't go anywhere. We've got more racing on Pit Stop TV to come.
Absolutely. Now we see the drivers make their way into the pit boxes. Dobbs, Robertson, Kinder, Barlow going to go all through 4 of them and take his place on the first pit stall. Wide bracket falling in behind. As now we wait to see these 4 tires and fuel and who's going to be able to win off pit road first. Adam Lancaster drops the jack first. Alan Dobbs is going to get off away early as Lancaster is going to jump all the way up to 3rd with that, almost beat Robertson, and they make contact, and that is not what you want to see. That might be a pit exit violation on 28, but that is a very devastating blow to number 2 car. You got to hope he didn't get too much damage out of that, but that was a hard hit to the inside wall.
Down the straightaway. We'll get a replay here and show you that one again. That car was really consistent and really strong. I was thinking Robertson was going to be a big factor in the finish of this race. You see Adam Lancaster and Brandon Robertson coming out side by side from the exit of the pit lane, and there was for the completion of 4 fresh tires on that machine. Dobbs got him out of the pit lane, no question about that, but Lancaster got a really great pit stop, came out beside him, and just trying to have enough room between both himself and the wall and himself and Lancaster. Obviously, he misjudged how much room he had to his right side and just clipped that wall. Unfortunately, that's going to be a big blow for Brandon Robertson, but he should be able to get that car fixed up and maybe before we even get back to green flag racing, get it back on the grid.
So getting on pit lane is going to matter a lot. Getting off of pit lane is going to matter a bunch as well. And we also see that margin from 2nd and 3rd starting to close up on the race leader, Jesse Webb. We were talking about the headlights. He was making good use of them there. Trying to warn, oh, trouble in front of him. Look out. That's right in front of the leader. He somehow gets by after the 2 lap cars tangle in turn 1.
It looked like Gergois might have gotten on the brakes a little bit too hard, and he will collect Mick Blue as a result. Not too much critical damage for these drivers, but handling is sure to be an issue.
So Gergois, the car that got into the back of Mick Blue, who perhaps was maybe trying to yield to the leader, who was warning that he was en route and on the way. And Mick Blue also ended up spinning around. They now fall a lap behind the leader, who, what a job, though, by Jesse Webb to slam on the brakes as they all came into turn number 1 with a full head of steam. And due to where Gergois' car spun on the pavement as we back into the barrier here on board with Mick Bloom, looks as though that Webb is going to live to fight another day. Here it is out the back of Gergois' car, and here comes Webb. Deep down to turn number 1, just right into the back of Mick Blue, and there goes Webb, able to squeeze on by, and just like that, that is how quickly things can come undone for the front runners in lap traffic.
7 rather, and it ends up working for Bruno, but I'm not so sure that I would have done the same thing there into turn 1 like that, or turn 2 rather. Oh, Safeker's around!
Okay.
Oh, Jesdal had that big issue. Whoa!
Hey, just punted him right around. Luckily, he was able to get that thing fired up really quick, Jesdal.
Yeah, that was Jesdal. He goes around out of 7. That's what I was saying. He is the reason this all happened. So Jesdal has this spin, and wow, he just got on the power, I think, too much in that compression and spun the car around. And suddenly, here comes Nate Siefker, and Siefker's just got this big head of steam. It goes off track to clear him, and then gets punted off for doing so. I'm not sure that was intentional from Jesdal. I think it just ended up happening that way. Of course, Siefker going off track like that probably is already on the binders as soon as he gets back to the black there. And Jesdal just wasn't ready. Let's put that behind us. We've got to restart to focus on 2 laps to go. It's green-white checkered. Out of 100 laps, we now have 2 more to go to make it 104. Anthony Masadi, the race leader. Jeremy Berger, second place. The 2-car Jack Ryan in there as well. How does this shake down?
You see Stephen Parrott. We haven't seen much of him. So here is. Oh, they're wrecking!
That's everybody.
Oh,
that's everybody.
Upside down. Yeah, that's the whole field right there coming
Holden
back
McGill
again.
just did a barrel roll out of turn 4. Everybody's in this, and we're still crashing. We're still crashing. We're still crashing. Oh my. Oh, we're still crashing up here. We're creating new crashes. Oh boy.
In the field. We'll get a replay, and I don't know if you can pick out one single car to follow through this one, because this included most of the cars left in this race.
If you look at that,
I-
Landon Durhold was the only person to get through that.
I've never seen a crash quite like this. You know what? We're setting new marks every day. It looks like Joseph just, I mean, he's in the throttle. He has every right to be, and just hooks the 49. And I mean, there's nowhere to go for anybody. Logan Durhold, you're right. Gets through. Oh, somebody else. Who was that? Ford on the bottom side. Oh, you know what? That was Kevin Franks we were talking about a while ago. How he might be in this thing. He's back in it, boys. Oh my. I don't know.
It's hard to keep control of it, and while that didn't cause the yellow itself, because obviously you see Joseph just trying to give the shove that he needs to get the momentum towards the front, but it's this part of the turn. It's where you get back into the banking change is where the rest of the field's going to have a problem, because they're going to have...
We're going to watch Kevin Franks go through this. You see them starting to wreck a little bit in front. He's going to dive down to the apron, gets a little bit loose. You see Landon Durhold in front of him, and he just gets away scot-free. One of the few cars of the field that gets by scot-free.
Sure. How about this, though? Nearly 3 wide for third spot. Brunnemer under fire from Ledecky, who's got drafting help. They almost come together at the start-finish line, and that's John Wittendorf trying to find a way through. And how about Hansen? He's trying to draw even here. We're back on board with Beats as they come to turn 2. They're going to survive the corner there. No look for the lead for the time being, but Hansen had a huge run just behind to try to get up into the top 5. And there's trouble. That's Hansen crashing there as they come through turn 4.
And James Hansen was a driver who entered the championship picture third in points. And while he will have that drop week,
Welcome back to the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Race 1 wrapped up. Chris Knox won that one by a mile. That means race 2 is on the way, and it's already just about to go to the grid. In fact, about 15 seconds before it heads to the starting grid for race number 2. An invert of 18 cars. You can see some of the practice standings there before this second race of the day. And JP, this is going to be interesting. I say interesting. It'll be fun as usual, but it'll be a little less exciting, I think. That just seems to be the vibe so far. As I mean, a very, very quiet first race, very, very quiet. And I don't think that's really going to change. Although we have picked up a car, and I'm trying to figure out exactly who it is that we've picked up. And apparently, James Holman missed race 1, but is here for race 2, race 3, race 4. So the points leader is here to defend.
That Michael Seal is not here and just decided, well, might as well grab some points. You know, the Finn might lead from McEwen and, well, try to bag some extras. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fares out. Obviously, he's going to start at the back end, Andrew, but he's going to have one teammate really close to him. Just, what, 2-3 positions? Just 2 positions, actually, ahead of him to help him out. So it could be interesting for the number 4.
It seems like something is slightly off with the grid. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it inverted Chris Knox to 19th for some reason. Alistair Hatcher's still on pole. All right, we'll go with it. I'm not entirely sure, but hey, we've got a grid of 21 cars. Let's go then for race number 2. Red lights waiting on green lights. Green lights are out. Race 2 is underway at Daytona. Roger Morton contact there with one of the cars well up front. I think that might have been Alan Toon in an Audi for some reason. Holman already up 2 spots. Fiona Siddons down to 21st as the field heads down to the bus stop, the International Horseshoe for the first time.
Yeah, heading into the first tricky braking zone, Andrew looks orderly so far. Everybody makes
Oh,
it
one
through.
car off.
Car,
That's
actually.
Mick Anderson.
Oh, spoke too soon.
Through the kink, Alistair Hatcher leading over Sam Smith. Carl Hardy third. Then it's Roger Morton, Ian Manners. Duncan Cope actually goes to the inside of Manners. A fight for 5th.
Duncan Cope now gets it slowed down beautifully on the apex. A bit of contact looks like it happened between the top 2 and just caught it by the eye. Looks like all orderly so far. And, well, they resumed that battle on the exit of 6, looks like. But, yeah, interesting battles through the field. Andrew looks, well, interesting so far as we head into NASCAR's 1 and 2, actually. And you can see there the rest of the field, pretty much everyone single file apart from a few scramblers. Sir Alan Toon, you can see, as it's mentioned, on an Audi. different, very
Now,
different.
that is not usually allowed. I wonder if this race will be disqualified for him and not counted, or if they will allow it this one time. Definitely an accident, and it seems like the Audi a little bit off anyways. I'm not sure it really provides him an advantage, but once you select a car, you're supposed to stay in that car. We'll see how that's treated by admin. Sam Smith leading, Carl Hardy second. Then Alistair Hatcher, Roger Morton, your top four.
You can see this is a very close battle between the lead. I wonder if we are going to see a breakout, or we're going to see everybody single file. On the last minute, looks like, well, we're going to see two groups, Andrew. So just like normal NASCAR, might see only one, actually.
Hatcher goes to the top side. Morton staying in behind Hardy, who stays in behind Smith. And that's how lap one comes to a completion, with Sam Smith out front, 5 cars breaking away. Oh, Alistair way sideways. He's going to spin. Into the wall he goes, but a light bit of contact. Somebody else spins. Shane Piggott. Wow.
Oh, I was about to say 2 Hondas, but 1 Honda and 1 Veloster. So, I mean, once again, the Honda's having issue down in turn 1, but I'm not quite sure what happened to Shane Piggott. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead is very much alive between Carl Hardy and Sam Smith.
Hardy got it through the International Horseshoe. Now losing it through the kink as Smith goes back to point. Our top 4 now broken away. And that's going to change because Chris Knox is gaining quickly on Duncan Cope.
Yeah, Chris Knox, I don't think he's going to be holding back. Then a 1.5 second gap between Knox and Winter. They could be reeling this group and Andrew if they work together. That's obviously going to depend on Winter and McEwen. But this second group seems very, very close, Andrew. You can see there McEwen defending from Scott Smith. And then looks like Homa now finds himself in the top 10. So a good recovery for him. Certainly 21st, and he's already up into 10th place.
Already up in 11 positions, and it's only lap number 2. This race may be trending a little bit slower than race 1, looking like maybe an expected 7 laps instead of 8. So a little more on pace with Miatas from Tuesday. Smith lets Hardy have it into the bus stop as Chris Knox sends it to the inside of Duncan Cope.
Yeah,
he started 19th.
Yeah, he has done a fantastic comeback race so far, hasn't he? That is 15 positions in just a few laps. And, well, I guess he's earning the name Andrew Super Sender. Now, where will he go on this run right here? You can see 2 cars on the bottom, 1 car on the top. Could he make it 3 wide? We're going to get the answer in a few seconds. He gets the slipstream and, no pushing.
Sticks behind the Excite 527 of Sam Smith and pushes Smith to the race lead. Now Knox going to look to the outside.
He just pushes enough to clear, and now he's going to be trying to go around the outside of Sam Smith. Sam loses the car a bit on the entry.
Oh, he clips the wall.
Hits
pushes
the tire
Chris
barrier.
Knox wide, and there's no front bumper on Smith's machine.
Wow, I mean, that was a light contact.
It came back. It might have actually just been a bit of a glitch, bit of a netcode contact with the wall. That was really odd. It looked like it sheared the bumper off initially, and now the bumper's back.
Yeah, I saw the bumper completely flying off and actually hitting Chris Knox just as he hit Chris. But, yeah, interesting. Looks like he got a lucky escape, as now they're going to go side by side through the kink. Smith is going to have the inside through the kink. Chris going nearly into the grass. Now he's going to have the inside for the horseshoe, and he's going to get the position.
Very close quarter racing here. Hardy just behind, looks to the right now of Sam Smith. No option there, so the Honda Civic has to wait. 2 Hyundai Elantras, 2 Honda Civics, and an Audi in the top 5. Joe Winters up to 6th. He's in one of the Hyundai Velosters. Not many of them in the field as Sam Smith picks up a cone. And it disappears.
Everything looks like it's popping up and disappearing, but yeah, looks like a battle for second place. You can see there Carl Hardy trying to work it around the outside. He's going to get a bit of a straight line advantage in Sam Smith. Yeah, I don't think Sam maybe just let him by and trying to line up on the exit of the bus stop, or the Honda, I mean, pretty much just kicked on VTEC at that moment and just cleared everybody. Morton actually sending it as well.
I think Sam might have actually made contact with the wall. He is slow right now. That car is very much not where it was a lap ago. He could also be trying to backpedal now, maybe realize he might not have put fuel in the car potentially. There's an idea.
Oh, that could be interesting as well, Andrew, but he's losing quite a lot of time on the straight lines unless he's toning down the engine quite a lot. He has that damage that we thought, pitting.
Oh,
so
maybe not.
Oh, interesting. Maybe he got tagged a little bit.
He drops down to the 8th position as the safeguard teammates of Carl Hardy and Roger Morton rise to 2nd and 3rd. James Neve approaching. Duncan Cope, Joe Winter in a battle here for 4th.
A good little battle, almost contact there on the apex. You can see Duncan Cope, Andrew. I like what I'm seeing from him, mixing up with the Pro-Ms and the Pro drivers. He's doing a fantastic job in 5th place.
Oh, Cope
no,
turns Winter. He saves it.
It's the amazing save, but Winter is going to drop all the way from 4th to, looks like 9th place. No.
Now a breakaway. Top 3 pulling away. 4th place is James Neve over Duncan Cope, Andy McEwen, and Holman. James Holman up the inside of McEwen.
A big move right there from the number 4. He's behind another Audi right now, and he's going to move himself up into 6th place, Andrew. This is a great comeback race from him. He's going to have to go defensive. Looks like he's not clear of McEwen. Closes the door in the last minute, and there you go. Now McEwen's going to have to defend from, looks like Joe Winter, who tried to poke a nose, but unfortunately couldn't. Might get a run, though, out of turn 6.
Meanwhile, Chris Knox has got himself a second gap once again. Are we really going to ride in Chris Knox for 2 of the easiest looking race wins of the season? Race 1 started on pole, just pulled away, got away from those battles. Race 2, he at least had to drive through the field, but it looks like the field made it easy on him.
Yeah, I mean, everything is clicking for him, isn't it? I mean, he's just controlling. So far, you can see the gap is below a second between him and Hardy, but I don't see Hardy catching him up too much, Andrew. Looks like they're more involved in the battle. There he goes, side by side with Morton. So, I mean, the field is allowing Chris Knox to have a nice, calm, and orderly day.
Carl with a slowdown. He drops back to James Neve. Here comes Neve on the inside. And that'll be for 3rd position and 2nd in competition. As there we go, Chris Knox allows Roger Morton on by for the race lead.
Interesting. Just as we say that, Andrew, it's always like that. It's always the opposite of what we say. But, yeah, looks like Morton is going to be leading this.
Oh, Carl Hardy.
Oh, big contact. Oh, he's going to be pointing all the way to the fence.
Just wanted to give those guys a show over there. Shane Pigott in trouble. Oh, he's broadside.
Oh, wow, that's dangerous. And you can see big damage right there to the suspension. Wow, that car is toast.
Let's see what happened here for Shane Pigott. He was racing with Ian Manners, it looks like. This is up back towards the start-finish line.
And I wonder if it's just maybe a little bit of side draft gone wrong between them.
Yep.
Yep.
And Manners just came up the racetrack rather inexplicably, and boy, that is a big hit for Shane.
That was a massive hit right there, and you can see the car is completely toast. He holds his brake, but yeah, he's out of this race as well. Not just an unfortunate contact over there.
Really odd the way Manners just comes up the racetrack in the tri-oval. He just didn't turn.
I think as soon as the car got upset between the banking and the flat, I guess, piece of pavement, the car just slingshot it back with him trying to correct. And yeah, that moment, he just hooked the bumper of the 27, and well, that was it.
Problems for Roger Morton. That car is damaged. I think maybe an issue potentially with Chris Knox just now. This was out of NASCAR 2 down the Daytona super stretch. And yes, he's just been turned from the race lead by Chris Knox.
Oh, no. You can see here Chris looks like he's giving him a little bit of a bump draft, just pushing him as we're not in the final flag just yet. And Andrew, I'm pretty sure this could be, just one of those hooked at the wrong angle. And, yeah.
Roger at least didn't hit anything, but got turned around there, and maybe doesn't have a whole lot of damage. At first, it looked like the car was a little bit cattywampus, but it looks like he continues on to that issue. Drops down, though, to the 8th position, and compare that to first, where he was a moment ago. That's rather unfortunate and definitely not what he wants. Chris Knox now battling with James Neve, who's gone on by for the race lead. It's McEwen and Winter for 3rd and 4th as they battle here.
Yeah, for 3rd place right here. Winter once again chasing down McEwen, and you can see there Duncan Cope chasing down Scott Smith as they head into the horseshoe. You can see there, this is Neve and Knox actually going for it on the horseshoe. Did not work out for Neve, and he's just going to be waiting probably for the exit of 6, maybe into the bus stop. We might see a change for the lead, Andrew. But so far, it's been a good race. We're pretty much where we were in race number 1, isn't it? The top 4, I mean, it's all familiar drivers.
Aside from this gap, it's only 3/10. Neve is very close. McEwen's within the draft. Winter's there. Holman is a little ways back. Holman may be out of this top running battle, but, you know, anything can still happen as he's got no help from behind and a big gap up front. Side by side for the race lead. Winter and McEwen drafting up to them. Neve goes on by. Knox will slide in behind.
Knox cannot really. Oh, that could have been close with a corner cut. Maybe an off track he might get from that, but I think he's going to be A-okay. Meanwhile, you can see there Joe Winter really trying to catch up to McEwen. And Andrew, this might be his best opportunity. If McEwen catches up to Knox, should I say, he might decide to go, high side, or Chris might decide to do so. And, well, McEwen is going to help his teammate, and that could give Joe Winter an opportunity. No, we're going to see 3 wide action.
3 wide across the stripe, and if that was for the win, that would have been fantastic, Andy, but that was 2 laps too early, and McEwen goes to the top of the tri-oval. If he was testing something, that's all fine and dandy, but that was just a little too early for the race win, and unfortunately, he might have just shown his hand as Holman is back within the draft.
Yeah, he just allowed pretty much everybody just allowed Holman to get on back, so now we're going to have a 5-car battle for the lead. It's going to be really interesting, and Andrew, can we give praise to Knox by that move on the inside on the middle of 2 cars? Just made it work and took the lead?
We can if you want to. Do you want to?
I would like to.
Okay, we'll give him a nice little finger clap here. Not going to hear it on the broadcast. We'll give him a finger clap. Chris Knox is just doing a fantastic job out here. A quarter of a second clear. He's not going to win this race, I don't think, because you've got 4 cars behind him that want to win. But you never know. Chris Knox won that first race, and you know we saw it on Tuesday as well. You just got to position yourself in the right spot, and Chris was actually quite good at that. So we'll see what he can do today.
Yeah, pace on this track is not 100%, is it? You need to line yourself up. You need to have that racecraft to know exactly how to position your car. And if you're the leader as well, you need to know how to defend and try to avoid that run-up on the final lap. So it's just a lot of extra things, Andrew, to be considered are here in Daytona other than all right pace. And you can see there, Neve already looking to the outside of the bus stop. I'm pretty sure Knox might just let him go. And doing so, he might actually let McEwen go. No, closes in the door just a little bit to make sure he's in second place and trying to repeat what he did on the previous lap.
Duncan Cope and Roger Morton fight through the bus stop. Contact! Oh, they save it. Just barely.
Now look at the run that Scott Smith is going to get on these 2. Oh, Sam Smith, sorry. Yeah, I just see the Smiths injury. It's always the Smiths, but you can see there he's just going to get a good run. Wow, that was really close to Duncan Cope. He's going to try to work it around the outside, but looks like the Audi might just have enough. And look at these 4 right here.
White flag is out, presented by Whiplash Simcams. James Holman sitting back and waiting, biding his time watching these 4 down to turn 1. Neve to the race lead.
Oh, and you can see there Knox going to go to the outside, almost making contact with McEwen, but he's going to remain in second place, Andrew. McEwen is in what Tuesday we considered the best spot to be in 3rd, but will it work on Miatas? Oh, Chris Knox absolutely sends it. A bit of contact with Neve, but he's going to get the race lead.
I'm surprised he wants to lead through the road course.
Maybe because he realized that Neve is always going for it on the bus stop, so he can just hold on back and get the run off it.
You might be right. Chris Knox to the inside of the West Horseshoe, trying to take this spot away from James Neve. I think you do actually want to lead off the road course in these races. The way things are looking is McEwen right in that 3rd spot. He set himself up beautifully a couple of laps ago to complete lap number 6, so can he do it again here? Holman has joined them, and there you see officially the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams. Joe Winter and James Holman much closer this time.
This is going to be fun, Andrew. Watching these guys decide who wants to be where. Will Chris Knox back off a little bit? You can see he's going high. He's allowing Neve to get that race lead.
McEwen's going to go too.
Yeah, McEwen's going to go too, and maybe even Joe Winter.
Odd moves here from these guys. The RD Simsport pair get in line up top. Winter follows through in the Simtech Racing 11. Oh, he couldn't quite get past Chris Knox. It's McEwen and Neve out front. McEwen can now play blocker.
Yeah, McEwen's in a perfect position to help his teammate, Andrew, and now Chris Knox is going to have to play this to perfection, getting the slipstream off of the 507 and off of the 18. What can he do as we exit the banking?
McEwen getting a run. Chris Knox sitting back. Here comes Andy to the top side. He's going to go up top and try and draft by his teammate. Chris Knox, meanwhile, is going to help James Neve on the bottom side. A drag race to the line, and McEwen wins at Daytona.
Oh, Chris Knox decided to go below the yellow line, but it did not work for him. Winter's going to hold off for 4th, and Holman's going to stick on 5th place. But what a finale, Andrew. Chris, I think, is going to be beating him, so he's not going to be too happy about misjudging those gaps.
A couple more cars to finish will be Alistair Hatcher, Glenn Humberstone, and Sir Alan Toon. There's Hatcher across the line. Your top 17 will finish on the lead lap. Sir Alan Toon just 1 lap down, may still be eligible for that invert. The Pro-Am winner, Fiona Siddons, in position 15. No, Duncan Cope at 11th.
No, Duncan Cope, yeah. Duncan Cope wins the amateur class. Something definitely happened between him and Sam Smith, I think, on the final few laps, because they were inside the top 10, and Sam's going to finish in 10th and him in 11th. But definitely a good pair of races for Duncan Cope, wasn't it, Andrew? I mean, took the lead back on race number 1, pretty much had the lead of the amateur class throughout race number 2, and now it's time for the spinny wheel.
Let's go ahead and give it its spin for the second time today. We saw a full invert after race 1 for race number 2. Now, an invert of...
Full.
21. Yeah, 21 cars. So as many that are eligible.
So once again, Chris Knox, Andy McEwen, Winter, Holman, and Neve, well, they're pretty much going to have to do it all over again. They got the recipe right the first time, Andrew. Could they get it right the second time? As you can see now from the unofficial race results, Andrew McEwen wins the race just near 1/10 of a second ahead of his teammate. You can see Chris Knox actually tried to line up that run, but ends up finishing in 3rd place. Joe Winter, the number 11, is going to finish in 4th ahead of Holman, the championship leader. The car number 4 finishes in 5th place. Scott Smith is going to come home 2nd in the Pro-Am class in 6th ahead of Roger Morton. Mick Anderson is going to finish ahead of Craig Schill and Sam Smith.
11th goes to Duncan Cope with the amateur race winner for Nick Clibbins. Carl Hardy, Ian Manners, and Fiona Siddons goes 2nd in amateur. Alistair Hatcher there in 16th. Glenn Humberstone in 17th. Then Sir Alan Toon 18th, 1 lap down. Before Martin Shirley in 19th. Shane Piggott in 20th. 2 and 3 laps down apiece. And Rob Jackson 4 laps down in 21st. So, race number 2 goes down with a really good finish. A quiet race up until that point. A little more drama than race 1, certainly, so things are starting to heat up. And we didn't even check the weather before the start of that race, JP. We're back up to higher temps. The track temp 118, that explains some of the reason I think that we're seeing the racing evolve throughout the day. And I like that a lot. We talk about liking those higher temps. We see that. We like it. And Andy McEwen is ready to talk to us. And JP, do you want to talk to race 2 winner?
I could go for, or we could have an Andrew interview an Andrew. I guess we can change a few questions, but McEwen, I mean, we just mentioned the track temperatures. Did you feel quite a bit of difference between race 1 and 2?
You know what? I am so happy you said that, because my car felt like junk. It would not turn through the corners, and I was really worried that I'd picked up some damage. I actually ran into the back of Rob Jackson. There was a bit of an incident at turn 1 a few laps in. I think Chris tagged someone and Rob stopped and I hit him, and it felt like it had broken the steering. It just wouldn't turn through the corners, but I guess if the track temperature was high, that explains it a bit.
Oh, there you go. And well, that move on the final lap of the race, did you plan on being 2nd, or just like Tuesday? I mean, Tuesday we saw the race-winning move came from 3rd place. Were you planning on sticking on 3rd up until the final lap, should I say?
Absolutely, you're spot on again. I wanted 3rd place because the penultimate lap, I was 3rd coming off the bus stop, got a run on Chris and James, and I just pipped them to the line. So I thought, 3rd place, that's where I need to be. I'm happy to sit here for the rest of the lap. And then Chris got the memo, I think, and he dropped down into 3rd going into the bus stop. So I just sort of slowed down a bit more in the middle of the bus stop to try and back him up. And then that worked, because I got the run on James before Chris could get to us. So another fantastic 1-2 finish for Time for Fun.
Absolutely, it was an excellent finish. Now heading into race number 3, obviously you won. You're going to have the biggest invert. What is going to be the plan once again, starting from the back?
Well, I guess if we can do it once, then there's nothing stopping us doing it again. Obviously, you can pass at Daytona. That's no secret. The draft is really powerful, and you can make your way through the field. So I mean, what the hell? I'm gonna aim for another podium at least. Certainly, top 3 would be nice. If I can win, that would be even better. But really, my target tonight is to outscore James Holman. I'm 30, or I was 31 points behind him on dropped scores coming into tonight. Obviously, I want to try and close that gap, or even get ahead of him going into Sebring. So that's the target. If I can beat him, then I'll be happy.
Absolutely. With that being said, McEwen, I'm going to let you focus on race number 3, and hopefully we can see plenty of you on the good side, I guess, on race number 3, and well, we maybe can talk to you later.
That's the plan. I'm hoping that you'll be hearing a lot from me tonight, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, only overtakes and race victories. But with that being said, I'm gonna let you focus, and well, best of luck.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Enjoy.
Well, Andrew, I just spoke to another Andrew, and that's weird to say, but yeah, he sounds happy, and sometimes that's all you need to have good results.
Yeah, I think a big part of racing in any aspect is certainly the mental aspect. You've got to be in the right headspace, and it sounds like Andy McEwen in a much better headspace than he has been the last couple of weeks. Definitely happier with his running. I think that's what it comes down to. And ready then for race number 3, where he is being inverted all the way to the rear. But we saw Chris Knox in that battle for the race win. We can see Andy McEwen right back in it as well. Race 3 on the way here from Daytona International Speedway. Don't go anywhere. Pit Stop TV has plenty more race coverage coming up in just a few more moments with BSRTC.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence. After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Daytona International Speedway. The lights are on at Daytona, albeit maybe, you know, it's not quite as dark as the sim as you see there in the B-roll, but this is a beautiful backdrop, JP. This is exactly what you want when you come to Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the prettiest tracks on iRacing, I feel. I guess we mentioned this on Tuesday, you know, the grandstands, the lighting, everything just looks so good on Daytona. And obviously the racing around here, Andrew, is so much fun. It's actually one of my favorites, like, road courses on all time. Like, I love just coming out here whenever I sim race, you know, just coming out here and putting some laps. It's just something about the circuit. It just flows so well and it looks so great.
It's included in so many games. It's definitely, you know, even if you're not a NASCAR fan or a hardcore Rolex 24 fan or something like that, I think you're familiar with Daytona in some regard from other video games if you're into racing, and as you know, especially iRacing. I think iRacing revolves in a way around Daytona, Indianapolis, and Charlotte for most, and I think you could throw in Spa, maybe even Le Mans a little bit, maybe Silverstone potentially. There aren't many tracks other than maybe Daytona, Watkins Glen, Charlotte that iRacing revolves around, so it is definitely one of the top tracks that you get familiar with pretty quick on the iRacing.com simulator. Alan Toon now on pole, Glenn Humberstone second, Alistair Hatcher will start from third, then Fiona Siddons, so 4 amateurs up at the front of the grid for race number 3. And the weather for this one, JP, it is a little bit warmer than race 1, but it's definitely cooled back down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 40 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than race number 2, but around 15 Fahrenheit hotter than race number 1, or around 9. But either way, it's a bit hotter, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, the track temp dropped significantly from race 2 to 3, and of course rose significantly from 1 to 2 as a shaky start for much of the field. Fiona Siddons hits Ian Manners, but we're off and away in race 3. A very shaky start from Ellis, but we're through turn 1. Alistair Hatcher, your race leader.
currently leading as we head into the International Horseshoe. Will we see a move for the lead early on? Looks like we will, Andrew. That's Nick Clibbins taking the lead, isn't
Craig
he?
Schill. Bit of contact.
Looks like so far everybody makes it through. You can see there the top three kind of breaking away as we have quite a few battles. Is that James Holman already up into, what, 6th place?
It is, up into 5th. He clears Craig
Wow.
Schill, goes on by Duncan Cope there. We'll go on by the Honda of Craig Schill as well. Roger Morton, Chris Knox in this conversation. Andy McEwen is mired in 16th, though, as you see all of these guys battle through the West Horseshoe. One car around, it's Humberstone.
Oh, Humberstone around, and that's going to be hard for him. He's going to be losing all this gaggle, essentially, to keep up with these guys. Is this Fiona Siddons? Yes, it is, up in 3rd place. A good start of the race so far. And Andrew, Fiona's looking good for a potential podium finish if she can keep herself in the slipstream of the cars ahead.
She had a rough start from the grid. Got real sideways and hit, I believe it was Craig Schill that started to her inside in the 5th spot. But Fiona Siddons, yeah, sorting things out now down the backstretch in the 3rd position. And the amateur points leader doing nicely here in race number 3 as Cope goes through the grass in the bus stop.
Oh, can he save the car before hitting the wall? Yes,
Just
he can.
barely.
That was beautiful save, and yeah, almost hitting the wall, but unfortunately that's going to be a big slow down penalty attached to him, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can come back. Meanwhile, the top 3, Andrew, they're going for it.
You think that, but Nick Clibbins is way out in front of these 3. Alistair Hatcher, Carl Hardy, and Fiona Siddons are actually 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Fiona goes 3 wide across the line as Clibbins leads lap 1.
You see there, yeah, as you mentioned, I completely forgot number 13. He's out of the conversation.
Oh, contact with Hardy and Siddons. Hardy comes back across the track, hits Fiona. Oh, boy. They keep going straight, albeit off the track now as Fiona's off in the dirt. Hardy as well. Oh, my.
Oh, that was intense, Andrew. And once again, I think it was the Honda having issues. And something on turn 1 is definitely not clicking in for that car. But you can see here a few extra battles. Looks like Joe Winter just got past Craig Schill for 6th place. Meanwhile, the 2 teammates are pretty much sandwiching, Andrew. I think I saw just... No, yeah, looks like Fiona Siddons is going to be losing 1 more position to James Neve. But you can see here the number 4 of Holman, Andrew. He's already up into 2nd place. A good race 3 for him. But unfortunately, the next car is 2.4 seconds almost ahead of him.
If anybody's going to help Holman get there, it'll be Chris Knox, who goes by Alistair Hatcher on the left side there. Mick Anderson now makes a move on Alistair. Couldn't quite make it happen there, but we'll have an opportunity up onto the oval. A couple of Honda Civics doing battle.
You can see we're going to see which Honda Civic does batter. You can see it now. Mick Anderson's going to look to the outside. Just doesn't have enough of a run, Andrew. You can see he's just sticking in there now, getting a little bit of side draft, and that is definitely going to help him. Can he brave it out around the outside of the bus stop on the braking zone? Looks like they're still side by side, and yes, he does. You can see there Alistair Hatcher being a bit conservative, Andrew. And, well, the number 964 is leading the amateur class right now. The last thing we need is for another amateur leader to be, well, essentially involved in a contact.
Here's a look at Craig Schill, your top Pro-Am driver currently. We haven't said that much this season. That said, James Neve just behind, in fact, about a half second.
Just pretty much everybody head to tail, head to nose, nose to tail. There we go. I finally found the right saying, Andrew. But you can see there, Nick Clibbins still posted the fast lap of the race. Now, Chris Knox, obviously with the help from the slipstream of his teammate, sets the fastest lap. Meanwhile, Craig Schill, you can see now he's having to defend from arguably the best Pro-Am driver tonight, Andrew, James Neve. It's going to be difficult. Probably the season, yeah, as well. So it's going to be a big job, but you can see there Alistair Hatcher looks like is going side by side with him.
Alistair falling back, nearly getting into Craig there.
Oh.
And there's some contact for the back. Carl Hardy, Martin Shirley maybe making a little bit of contact. Fiona Siddons and Martin Shirley. And they make contact all the way out of the International Horseshoe. Somebody not happy with the other, potentially both of them. But they stay straight. They keep racing. It could have been a lot worse.
Oh, definitely could have been quite a lot worse, Andrew. But, yeah, you can see now it's creating a bit of a gap. You can see there James Neve eager to get past Alistair, but unfortunately could not do so before turn 6. Now it's definitely going to be looking to the exit, and it looks like the exit of the Hyundai was much, much better.
McEwen's win, by the way, in race 2 brings him up to 3 for the season. Chris Knox tied Neil Ferrier and Michael Seal in his race 1 victory at 5 wins on the season, as Knox and Holman actually battled and swapped spots down to the bus stop. Knox now taking point. I think he's the fastest of the bunch so far today, as they are in 3 different manufacturer cars: a Hyundai Elantra, an Audi RS3, and a Honda Civic.
That is interesting. 3 teammates, 3 completely different driving styles, and 3 completely different cars. That's going to be fun to watch if they can leapfrog and catch Nick Clemens. Meanwhile, you can see this battle right here. Looks like Roger Morton actually might go 3 wide with McEwen and Alistair, and he definitely thought about doing so, Andrew, and I think they are 3 wide.
He didn't think about doing so. He did so. Morton up to the top side.
Look at that. That is pretty much same gap between them, but it looks like McEwen on the middle might have the best line. It looks like he's going to be outbreaking them both heading into turn 1, and yeah, he clears them both just like Chris Knox did on race number 2. A beautiful move there from the number 18 to move himself up into 8th place.
Let's go to the rear of the field. Duncan Cope back here in the 19th position, chasing Fiona Siddons. About a second between them. And then 4 seconds up the road to Ian Manners, who's a little ways behind Sir Alan Toon, who's chasing Sam Smith. This is for 15th and 16th between these two. Sam has been completely off today. Rob Jackson, Carl Hardy are close. And Hardy and Scott Smith are even closer as they battle for 12th position, down to the West Horseshoe.
Yeah, you can see here they're going for it. Oh, looks like Martin Shirley actually went a bit wide and almost got taken out right there on the apex, but he's going to get a good win. Meanwhile, Carl Hardy is going to be looking to the outside of turn number 6. Can Scott Smith defend? Looks like he can. And obviously now he's going to have a better time defending Andrew since Martin Shirley is just ahead of him.
I really love something about Shirley's orange rims, and I would really love it if they were metallic and maybe a little more gold than orange. Almost like a Subaru vibe there with the blue and the gold rims. I mean, that would be fantastic.
Can we get an old Subaru Impreza as a TCR car? Then we have the dream scenario right there.
Yeah, we would. Battle behind him, Scott Smith, Carl Hardy down to the bus stop. This is, again, for 12th position.
Yeah, Carl tried to go for it on the outside, but he realized that Scott Smith was going to outbreak him. Decided to just hold on back. Looks like Shirley got a poor line through the bus stop. That's definitely going to cost him. And you can see there, Scott Smith already looking to the outside. They're going to go side by side. And I wonder, will Carl Hardy help? Well, nope. 3 wide action once again. At least he thought about doing so this time, Andrew. But as soon as he gets a good enough run, he might just do so again.
Hardy now pushing Scott Smith, trying to get him past Martin Shirley. A couple of pro-ams battling with a pro, and now Hardy goes to the top side of 3 wide. And they go nowhere, ultimately. Rob Jackson up the inside. Big move there from Jackson. A slide job almost to the inside of Scott Smith, and he jumps both of those cars into turn 1. A big send there.
That was a massive send from Rob Jackson, Andrew. And, well, the 3 of them didn't go nowhere, but he definitely did. Went down the inside of both Carl Hardy and Scott Smith and got the position. Meanwhile, this is Craig Schill still on the back end of Andrew McEwen, trying to get that 7th place back.
I think McEwen just got the spot in the International Horseshoe, finally getting on by car 582. McEwen not quite as fruitful in his efforts to go through the entire field here, but should still be in contention for a top 5 before the race is over. Still 6 minutes to go. Craig gets a little close there into turn 6. Meanwhile, Chris Knox has been putting some steady pace on Nick Clibbins, doing everything he can to close in. He's right on the edge here, JP, of getting the draft on the oval. One more run to the bus stop, he could be in that zone.
I think he already is, and you can see the gap dropping quite dramatically. If he's brave on the braking, if he can get a good line through the bus stop, he's definitely going to have enough of a gap maybe to catch up Nick Clibbins. And if he doesn't, he still has Holman just behind him, so he can leapfrog a little bit.
Good exit. Really good exit. He's starting to bring that time down just a little bit. It's very, very close, and right there it goes under a second. That's everything Chris Knox needs. Behind him, James Holman over Joe Winter. Mick Anderson has swapped spots with car 11. These two battling that time into the bus stop, and the Simtech Racing number 11 of Joe Winter does not want to be left out of this fight.
Absolutely not. They definitely want to be in conversation, Andrew. But if they keep on battling like that, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be the best of help. Meanwhile, you can see these two, the gap has come down considerably. You can see they're at 0.4 of a second, around 0.5. So it's definitely now a 3-car battle for the lead with barely 5 minutes to go. I mean, I still think Winter and Anderson could really catch up as well.
Alistair Hatcher in trouble. Car 964 in the back. Turned around in turn 1, and there goes Sam Smith on by. As we've finally got a fight for the race lead in race number 3. Nick Clibbins, Chris Knox, James Holman, Joe Winter, Mick Anderson make up the rest of the top 5 over James Neve, Andy McEwen, Craig Schill, Roger Morton, and Martin Shirley.
And dare I say right now, Andrew, Nick Clibbins might be feeling the pressure. He missed a little bit of the apex on the West Horseshoe, and that, well, just brought Chris Knox even closer. And you can see right here, Chris is essentially pushing the number 13 right now. So this is all going to be down to the strategy game, Andrew. Nick Clibbins right now feeling the pressure. If he allows Knox and maybe Holman to go on by, and if he can stick himself in 3rd place, he could be within a great shot of taking the victory. But meanwhile, you can see there Chris Knox already thinking about going to the outside. Will he push Clibbins? No. He's going to try to go for it? No. He slows down.
Knox waiting for an opportunity here. Still 2 laps to go that last time. No, 3 laps to go that last time by the start-finish line. It'll be 2 laps to go next time by. As Holman catches a bit of the grass there, that could be a slowdown. It looks like he's confident in his exit, stays right behind Knox, and will go on by. So no slowdown, it looks like, for Holman, as we have finally a lead change up front. Clibbins down to 3rd.
Knox got a great exit out of the bus stop, and I think Nick Clibbins had a bit of a compromise line because he gave up that inside line way too easy. But right now, Andrew, he's in 3rd place. He's going to be in a great position if he just stays there. You can see he's even pushing Holman. It looks like he's not really willing to go down the inside. He has to close the door, though, because Winter is definitely going to be trying as he sets the fast lap of the race. And now it's going to be an interesting battle for 2nd or 3rd even at this point.
2 laps to go in race number 3. You can see where James Neve is there. He came into the bottom of the screen. Quite a ways back of these guys, but if they get to battling, if they slow themselves down, don't rule them out. Do not rule out James Neve or Andy McEwen or even Craig Schill just yet. As Anderson way out in the dirt out of the International Horseshoe. And you know what? He's still within draft range to Winter, and that's going to bring him closer to the draft range for Neve. Not quite there, but at least closer.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all in that bubble, essentially, aren't they, Andrew? Just by being just barely outside the slipstream. But so far, it looks like the top 2 kind of broke away a little bit, Andrew. Nick Clibbins still below a second behind even Chris Knox, but he needs to be careful not to lose a lot of time on the midfield section. And you can see there James Neve currently 2.2 away from Anderson. If he can get that gap down to around 1.2, I think he will be in range.
Clibbins and Winter here for 3rd and 4th. As Holman and Knox pull away and now go side by side. Holman to the outside.
Holman, will they start leapfrogging Andrew to try and clear the gap? I don't think so, but Winter is definitely going down the inside of Nick Clibbins. Will he get 3rd place? Clibbins, well, not fighting too hard. He's happy to stay in 4th. Meanwhile, Chris Knox really backed himself up into Joe Winter and Nick Clibbins. That's definitely going to bring Mick Anderson as well into the talks.
The gap has grown from Neve to Anderson. He's just not gaining what he needs to as Anderson drives right back up to these guys. Out of NASCAR 4, we'll take the white flag presented by Whiplash SimCams, this time across the line for race number 3.
One more lap, and we had even side-by-side, almost 3 wide. A bit of contact, I think, happened right there, Andrew, between the 11 and the 13. But as we head into turn number 1, it's all the Audi up ahead. The number 4, James Holman, still leading. You can see an intense battle for 3rd place, which is often where you want to be to get that run. And you can see here Nick Clibbins going side-by-side with Joe Winter, and he might actually try to brave it around the outside of Chris Knox. Not quite. Still side-by-side for 3rd place.
Winter got some grass there out of the S's. Very much wide through turn number 2. Rob Jackson, Scott Smith, they battle further back. This is for 12th. Carl Hardy, Martin Shirley for 10th. As the Pro-Am Safeguard drivers battling with the Pro from SimTech Racing. Roger Morton, Craig Schill for 8th. Our leaders, though, through the West Horseshoe in a nice line of 5 cars.
Andrew, I think Chris Knox is just holding back maybe just a little bit. You can see 0.7 of a second is the gap between him and his teammate, and it's often the gap between 1st and 3rd.
James Holman nearly his 2nd lead out front of these guys. Chris Knox gets clear of Joe Winter. It's going to be tough for them to get back to Holman here.
I don't think they'll be able to, actually. This could be very interesting to see if Chris Knox he misjudged a bit on Tuesday, didn't he? And no, that was Cooper. And you can see there, Joe Winter, a big move to the inside of the bus stop.
That's only going to hold them up more as they close in a little bit on Holman. Winter goes on through to 2nd. I think he should have waited. Now his exit is compromised. Slows up a little bit. Chris Knox going to have a great opportunity. You're on board with Nick Anderson in the Honda. And I don't think anybody gets to James Holman here. Knox is going to have to stay in behind Winter and hope.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much of a run does Anderson get. I don't think they're too far away from Holman. I think he's going to have an easy victory around here, Andrew. But it's definitely going to be a run to second place. You can see there Holman giving the slipstream to his teammate. Chris Knox passes Winter, and James Holman is going to win race number 3. Chris Knox looks like he's going to come home in second. Does he? Yes, he does. Just barely over Joe Winter.
A drag race there with Schill and Morton. You see another big gaggle out of turn 4. Scott Smith, Carl Hardy, Martin Shirley in a group here as they come down to the start-finish line. 3 wide across the line. Shirley on the bottom and a crash.
Oh, no.
They'll head down to the grass. Scott Smith, Carl Hardy crashing down to the pit lane. That's 2 more cars left to finish this race. Those being Sir Alan Toon and Fiona Siddons. Both with the Spyro clothing brand on their cars. And unfortunately for Fiona, a spiral down the order.
Yeah, just falling down a little bit in. Yeah, 1 minute behind the leader, Andrew, on a 15-minute race. That's often not what you want, and something definitely went wrong. But yeah, in a few seconds, she's going to be the last driver to cross the start line. And Andrew, I think we had a bit of consistency on the number of drivers that have, I guess, being lapped, that have finished the race in the lead lap. It was 18 on the first one and 18 on the third one, and I think it was 17 on the second one, wasn't it?
Scott Smith at the end gets a penalty down to the end of the or at least not to the end of the lead lap, but well down the order at the very least. Let's bring up our spinning wheel. It took a second there to load. Let's go ahead and give it a spin for the final time today at Daytona. And this is going to be rather important, I'd say. Maybe full again, or is it going to be 7? It's going to be 7, I think.
Interesting. The last spin of the day, Andrew, and we only are going to invert the top 7. I think that's going to make things a lot interesting. We're going to have to wait and see on paper, I guess. In a few minutes, we're going to have race 4 underway.
Do you want to guess who that puts on pole?
Craig Shell? No.
No, not quite. Somebody who's got a win today.
C. McEwen. That was my second guess as soon as the unofficial race results tab came in. Holman ends up winning race number 3, then car number 4. Chris Knox, his teammate, finishes half a second behind him, just beating out Joe Winter to the flag. Mick Anderson is going to finish in 4th place ahead of Nick Clibbins. James Neve is once again, Andrew, going to win the Pro-Am class. Did he win all 3 races so far on his class? I think he did. Either way.
I don't think so. I thought Schill or Morton got one of them, but he might have had all 3.
Oh yeah, he's done a fantastic race so far. Andrew McEwen is going to finish in 7th, and by doing so, he's going to be inverted to pole position for race number 4. Craig Schill is going to come home 2nd place in the Pro-Am class in 8th, ahead of Roger Morton and Martin Shirley.
Finishing 11th in race 3 is Carl Hardy over Rob Jackson and Ian Manners. Alistair Hatcher finally gets a class win. They're in the amateur class over Duncan Cope, Sir Alan Toon. Then Scott Smith goes 17th in race number 3. Fiona Siddons goes 18th, 1 minute behind. And Scott got a penalty. Scott Smith got a penalty on that last lap, drops way down the order to 17th spot. And that's going to be very, very tough to come back from. He was in that battle with Carl Hardy, Martin Shirley across line for 10th, 11th, and 12th. So a big deficit there now for Scott Smith, I'd imagine, as a result of the contact there coming to the line. Sam Smith, 2 laps down in 19th. Glenn Humberstone, 7 laps down in 20th position. And those are all of our finishers from race number 3, JP. The lights are on at Daytona. It's getting a little bit later. The temps are coming down. The action is picking up.
Absolutely. Race number 4 is very promising. A small invert is definitely going to be interesting seeing the top 7 drivers going for it. And obviously, who knows, maybe third guest, I guess you can say, being invited to that lead battle, Andrew, for the final opportunity for these drivers to take points. It's bound to be fun.
Once again, some upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV. Let's take a look at them. We still have one more race to go tonight, but next up afterwards is the MPI Cup Series All-Star Race from Texas Motor Speedway on Sunday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern before we head to round number 10 of BSR Trophy Tuesdays at Sebring to crown a few champions in South Florida. That's 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, and Wednesday is the Outlaws Sim Series from the Lucas Oil Raceway. Actually, let me check myself on that. It used to be the Lucas Oil Raceway, now renamed to the Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. So it's back to the IRP name, Indianapolis Raceway Park, that so many know and love, just with Lucas Oil still as the primary title sponsor. And very, very happy to see kind of the throwback look there for the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Excited to see how that race goes on Wednesday. That will do it for race number 3. Race 4 on the way here from Daytona. And now you can say, JP, that, oh, that's the wrong B-roll. The nighttime skies are a little closer to this as we work into the evening at Daytona. One more race to go, 15 minutes of racing left, 8 laps of that. We'll be right back on Pit Stop TV.
Absolutely. As now we see the drivers make their way into the pit boxes. Dobbs, Robertson, Kinder, Barlow going to go all through 4 of them and take his place on the first pit stall. Wide bracket falling in behind. As now we wait to see these 4 tires in fuel and who's going to be able to win off pit road first. Adam Lancaster drops the jack first. Alan Dobbs is going to get off away early as Lancaster is going to jump all the way up to 3rd with that, almost beat Robertson, and they make contact, and that is not what you want to see. That might be a pit exit violation on 28, but that is a very devastating blow to number 2 car. You got to hope he didn't get too much damage out of that, but that was a hard hit to the inside wall.
Down the straightaway, we'll get a replay here and show you that one again. That car was really consistent and really strong. I was thinking Robertson was going to be a big factor in the finish of this race. You see Adam Lancaster and Brandon Robertson coming out side by side from the exit of the pit lane, and there was for the completion of 4 fresh tires on that machine. Dobbs got him out of the pit lane, no question about that, but Lancaster got a really great pit stop, came out beside him, and just trying to have enough room between both himself and the wall and himself and Lancaster. Obviously, he misjudged how much room he had to his right side and just clipped that wall. Unfortunately, that's going to be a big blow for Brandon Robertson, but he should be able to get that car fixed up and maybe before we even get back to green flag racing, get it back on the grid.
So getting on pit lane is going to matter a lot. Getting off of pit lane is going to matter a bunch as well. And we also see that margin from second and third starting to close up on the race leader, Jesse Webb. We were talking about the headlights. He was making good use of them there. Trying to warn, oh, trouble in front of him. Look out. That's right in front of the leader. He somehow gets by after the two lap cars tangle in turn one.
It looked like Gergois might have gotten on the brakes a little bit too hard, and he will collect Mick Blue as a result. Not too much critical damage for these drivers, but handling is sure to be an issue.
So Gergois, the car that got into the back of Mick Blue, who perhaps was maybe trying to yield to the leader, who was warning that he was en route and on the way. And Mick Blue also ended up spinning around. They now fall a lap behind the leader, who, what a job, though, by Jesse Webb to slam on the brakes as they all came into turn number one with a full head of steam. And due to where Gergois' car spun on the pavement as we back into the barrier here on board with Mick Blue, looks as though that Webb is going to live to fight another day. Here it is out the back of Gergois' car, and here comes Webb. Deep down to turn number one, just right into the back of Mick Blue, and there goes Webb, able to squeeze on by, and just like that, that is how quickly things can come undone for the front runners in lap traffic.
7 rather, and it ends up working for Bruno, but I'm not so sure that I would have done the same thing there into turn 1 like that, or turn 2 rather. Oh, Safeker's around!
Okay.
Oh, Jesdal had that big issue. Whoa!
Hey, just punted him right around. Luckily, he was able to get that thing fired up really quick, Jesdal.
Yeah, that was Jesdal who goes around out of 7. That's what I was saying. He is the reason this all happened. So Jesdal has this spin, and wow, he just got on the power, I think, too much in that compression and spun the car around. And suddenly, here comes Nate Siefker, and Siefker's just got this big head of steam. It goes off track to clear him, and then gets punted off for doing so. I'm not sure that was intentional from Jesdal. I think it just ended up happening that way. Of course, Siefker going off track like that probably is already on the binders as soon as he gets back to the black there. And Jesdal just wasn't ready. Let's put that behind us. We've got to restart to focus on 2 laps to go. It's green, white, checkered. Out of 100 laps, we now have 2 more to go to make it 104. Anthony Masadi, the race leader. Jeremy Berger, second place. The 2-car Jack Ryan in there as well. How does this shake down?
You see Stephen Parrott. We haven't seen much of him. So here is. Oh, and they're wrecking.
That's everybody.
Oh,
that's everybody.
Upside down. Yeah, that's the whole field right there coming
Holden
back
McGill
again.
just did a barrel roll out of turn 4. Everybody's in this, and we're still crashing. We're still crashing. We're still crashing. Oh my. Oh, we're still crashing up here. We're creating new crashes. Oh boy.
Buddy in the field. We'll get a replay, and I don't know if you can pick out one single car to follow through this one, because this included most of the cars left in this race.
If you look at that, Landon Durhold was the only person to get through that.
I've never seen a crash quite like this. You know what? We're setting new marks every day. It looks like Joseph just, I mean, he's in the throttle. He has every right to be, and just hooks the 49. And I mean, there's nowhere to go for anybody. Logan Durhold, you're right. Gets through. Oh, somebody else. Who was that? Forward on the bottom side. Oh, you know what? That was Kevin Franks we were talking about a while ago. How he might be in this thing. He's back in it, boys. Oh my. I don't know.
It's hard to keep control of it, and while that didn't cause the yellow itself, because obviously you see Joseph just trying to give the shove that he needs to get the momentum towards the front, but it's this part of the turn. It's where you get back into the banking change is where the rest of the field's going to have a problem, because they're going to have...
We're going to watch Kevin Franks go through this. You see them starting to wreck a little bit in front. He's going to dive down to the apron, gets a little bit loose. You see Landon Durhold in front of him, and he just gets away scot-free. One of the few cars of the field that gets by scot-free.
Sure. How about this, though? Nearly 3 wide for third spot. Brunnemer under fire from Ledecky, who's got drafting help. They almost come together at the start-finish line, and that's John Wittendorf trying to find a way through. And how about Hansen? He's trying to draw even here. We're back on board with Beats as they come to turn 2. They're going to survive the corner there. No look for the lead for the time being, but Hansen had a huge run just behind to try to get up into the top 5. And there's trouble. That's Hansen crashing there as they come through turn 4.
And James Hansen was a driver who entered the championship picture third in points, and while he will have that drop week as available, this is probably going to be the round where he's going to have to take it. He's probably falling back into it, the 20s or the 30s, and that was absolutely massive contact.
I believe Brady Lubenow was one of the cars involved. Hansen was in 6th. Notice that he had a huge run up the main straightaway. Looks as though may have tried to pull out and make a move. And you see, this is coming through turn 2. Oh, it started there with Ledecky. Ledecky got loose. The field stacked up behind him. And by the time the accordion kind of got back to where Lubenow was running in company, Hansen was already sideways, and Lubenow ended up piling in.
Yeah, unfortunate to just see so many early runners get collected. I used the word early already, but yeah, we're early into the running. You definitely don't want to fall out of the picture like this in the first 10 minutes or so of a 60-minute race. But I think just goes to show that these drivers were probably the most aggressive we've seen early in the race. So.
Welcome back to the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Races 1, 2, and 3 are all done. That means race 4 is now on deck. If this was the NFL or NBA or whatever draft, as we get ready to have one of the the smallest invert of the day, I think maybe the smallest of the week, JP, just 7 cars flipping order for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 3 full inverts before, and now, no, 2 full inverts, I should say. In the third one, well, it's pretty much only 7 cars. That's going to bring the battle for the win. Well, it should be very interesting, Andrew. The faster guys that we saw running the top essentially all day long are going to be very close together. They won't have a lot of cars to pass, so it should be interesting. And obviously, McEwen started on pole. He already won a race today. He wants to repeat this success.
Always good to start a race from first place, no matter the circumstances. As you can see, a lot of the bottom line connected right away. The top line taking a moment to grid up, as we're down to 19 cars, oddly enough, for this final race. It seems like a couple of cars opting to drop out, but we still have those same main players towards the front of the field that are sticking through to the end. As a few more of the top-line drivers, those pesky top-line drivers, JP, taking a long time to grade up, but we'll be ready momentarily, as red lights should be on here in just a moment or so, and green lights should follow. Weather for race 4 is just the same as race number 3, just about 75-degree track temp. Nothing has really changed. Thankfully, not a whole lot of wind. I think that could mess with these guys if we were to have wind, especially into turn 1. We've seen that be hectic for the Hondas already. Waiting on the green lights then for race number 4. Barney the flagman getting ready to display that green light and green flag at the same time, and the green silk drops. Green flag is out for race 4 at Daytona. You can see we're in full darkness now at Daytona as we head through the S's for the first time in race 4. Neve, McEwen, Anderson, Clibbins, and Winter, your top 5.
You can see through the International Horseshoe. So far, it looks orderly. We're going to have to keep an eye out on exit as we now head into the kink. Almost heading into the kink. You can see there Nick Clibbins going side by side with James Holman momentarily. He's going to take over that position as we head into the kink. Now into the second horseshoe. Andrew, the second biggest break.
Carl Hardy!
One car. 2 cars out. Looks like spun around, and they both save it.
No, not both of them. Martin Shirley further back goes off the track, comes back on and hits Craig Schill. No, that was Glenn Humberstone he made contact with. Alan Toon at the back of the field with Carl Hardy here after Hardy's mishap on that lap through the West Horseshoe. Back up onto the oval, in fact, for the first time this race. And your time for fun teammates out front.
Yeah, both of them trying to repeat the success of race number 2, Andrew. You can see there's some hungry drivers on, well, 3rd and 4th position who wants to deny that, but, well, their teammates are going to work together, and that's exactly what they're doing, just leapfrogging one another. But looks like that's Mick Anderson, right, that just closed up really a big time to them.
Through the bus stop. Lap number 1 of race number 4. And here comes Mick Anderson. Your top 2 swapping spots. Anderson behind. That's going to bring Joe Winter into the mix as we wrap up lap number 1. Oh, Andy McEwen right on the apron there, showing some sparks as Anderson gets a run at a NASCAR 4.
And you can see he side draft a little bit from McEwen, looks like, and now he's going to be side draft. You know, he side draft from James Neve, and now he's actually going to take over. He's going to lead this lap, I think, and he's going to be challenging McEwen down into turn number 1. Trying to be careful because we saw the Honda Civics really struggling on corner number 1, but you can see there gets out of shape, looks like pretty much on the late apex, and ends up giving up the position to James Neve once again and falling under big pressure from Joe Winter.
Anderson back to the inside for the International Horseshoe. Takes the line away from Neve, takes the spot away from Neve now. Holman passes Winter. Chris Knox now in tow. All of RD Simsport in the top 6.
Really interesting move there from Mick Anderson. You can see further behind this battle right here. This is Martin Shirley, looks like, leading this group, isn't it?
Rob Jackson actually over Scott Smith. And oh, Fiona Siddons moving around and flashing as well. Back towards the front, side by side for third, rather, as Holman goes to the inside of Neve. James Neve right now getting bullied by the pros.
Yeah, he's unfortunately just falling back. He started this lap pretty much on P2, and now he's battling to hold P3, probably dropping to P4, but you can see there the number 4 of James Holman's pretty much on the bottom, just edging out a little bit of that Hyundai and that Audi power coming alive. You can see there Joe Winter just looking at you. Could we see 3 wide action this early on? Looks like he's just holding back a little bit. Chris Knox doing more of the same, and they kind of all fall back into a single file.
Nick Clibbin sitting back here on the 7th spot, just watching all of this take place. Craig Schill and Roger Morton do position. Oh, some battles. Craig Schill's in the wall. That car is destroyed.
Now that's the end of his day, Andrew. That's some big contact he had. You can see the whole side of that car is completely destroyed. Looks like he's just trying to get back into a safe position, but yeah, looks like the bus stop wasn't too kind on him.
Yeah, this time around, this season, Daytona not being very kind to car 582. Let's see what happened here. He was ahead of he was ahead of Roger Morton, rather, and behind Nick Clibbin. So in the 8th spot when this happens, as you see, McEwen's just gone purple. He's still leading. And something happens here into the bus stop. Does he just get loose?
Yeah, looks like he's very far away from everybody, Andrew. I thought for one moment he's going to be contact. You can see he brakes normally. Oh, yeah, wow. Just completely missed the racing line, and unfortunately, just a big side impact. But, I mean, that was just on his own, an unforced error.
So he's done for this 4th race in the day. McEwen back to point. For a moment, he had swapped spots with Mick Anderson, but now the battle through the West Horseshoe, contact there maybe.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a bumper over there, Andrew, as we head into turn number 6. The gap between the top 4 is less than a second, and then obviously we still have 7 cars on this lead train. This is also interesting. Now Mick Anderson, will he take over the lead heading into the bus stop? You can see there 0.3 of a second is the gap, but it's closing.
Let's go on board with James Neve, who's dropped back down to the 6th position now behind Chris Knox, your top 5 All-Pros. And most of your bottom 5 of the top 10 anyways are Pro-Ams. Nick Clibbin's just breaking that up a little bit. Alistair Hatcher, your top amateur driver, then Glenn Humberstone, Sir Alan Toon, and Fiona Siddons further back. Duncan Cope, the car we lost.
Unfortunately for Duncan, Andrew looked so good on the first 2 races, and unfortunately for race number 4, he's not even here, so not nice to see. But you can see this is what it is nice to see, Andrew. This whole train, you can see now Holman helping his teammate. They're going to go to the top simultaneously. And you can see there Joe Winter actually thinking about maybe going 3 wide. He's definitely following Holman. And you can see there Holman just giving a big old push to Mick Anderson, who's going to clear
Chris Knox
into McEwen. And Chris Knox came out of absolutely nowhere to make it 3 wide.
That move could come back, though. He went on. Oh, he goes below the old lines again. And Andy McEwen gets moved out of the way. Mick Anderson contact. McEwen, an unsafe rejoin, just clobbers Holman in the door, and that has contact with Joe Winter. Oh, there's a lot going on up front right now. And
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
think that's going to be a protest to Chris Knox. I'm pretty sure he went below the WL line into the tri-oval to make that pass even happen, and it really jumbles these guys up. I think there's a good case that time for a protest of the WL line rule.
That was a big lunge for him down into turn number 1, Andrew. I think he even caught his teammate out a little bit, who had to take avoiding action, and ended up hitting McEwen. So this could have big implications. One man that has, well, pretty much, I guess, thanked is Neve, who's up to 3rd place. I mean, all of that confusion allowed him to pretty much drive straight through, and now he finds himself in a perfect spot to battle these two RJ Simsport guys.
McAnderson back up onto the oval behind his teammate. James Neve in the 3rd spot, leading Pro-Am by some large margin, 5 seconds or so, over Roger Morton. Scott Smith just behind. And Sir Alan Toon and Fiona Siddons do battle here to turn 6, Fiona taking the spot. Anderson and Knox, they swap spots down to the bus stop. Neve holding back, McEwen gave him a shot.
Now we're going to see teammates at work, Andrew. The two RJ Simsport guys in the time for fun. There we go. They're also going to be helping each other. Looks like McEwen actually got not the greatest of lines, but he's going to be catching up now on board with the number 4, James Holman. He can pretty much get the slipstream from everybody. He's going to have a good close-in speed, and you can see up ahead Mick Anderson and Chris Knox switching once again, trying to leapfrog and not allowing Neve to essentially close up enough.
Oh, right down in front of James Neve goes Mick Anderson. Your top 4 in a line as they come down to turn 1 once again. A much cleaner way through the corner this time. Holman around the outside of McEwen, though. And maybe a little bit of grazing between those two cars. Winter and Clibben still hanging in the balance, just a little ways behind them, but in the draft.
And you can see this battle right here for 4th place. Holman goes down the inside, goes deep on the braking. He's going to have the inside line, and he actually is going to have that position, Andrew. So important right here for the RD Simsport team. He's going to be breaking up these two teammates. Now, McEwen's not going to be able to hold, to help Neve unless he makes a move right here into the 2nd horseshoe. Oh, and you can see there Holman pretty much parking the car on the middle part of the racetrack, and that didn't allow enough of a gap for McEwen to go down the inside.
It all got very, very close there. Chris Knox over Mick Anderson over James Neve, James Holman, Andy McEwen, Nick Clibbens, Joe Winter, your top 7. Roger Morton, Scott Smith, Ian Manners, your top 10. Humberstone, Schill, and Hardy are all out.
Unfortunately for these three drivers, they're going to be out of the race, but it still have 16 cars running. And you can see there Joe Winter, the last driver, Andrew, on this top 7, the 7 lead train, I guess you can say. As you can see once again on the ticker, Mick Anderson and Chris Knox leapfrogging one another. And Andrew, what they're doing is absolutely perfect, because you can see Neve is not, I mean, he's not able to catch up to the leader.
Your line of 7 cars just waiting for the opportunity to really make their moves at this point. I mean, this is just a waiting game.
This is pretty much just waiting and trying to line yourself up for the final lap of the race. I mean, at this point, obviously, you don't want to force anything too, I guess, rough, you can say. And you definitely don't want to make it too easy. But, yeah, you can see the teammates just leapfrogging one another. Neve might have something to say. No, not quite. Almost getting into the back end. And look at McEwen.
McEwen around the outside. A big shake there for James Holman into the corner. He was swatting flies hanging on to that Audi. But hangs on the inside of McEwen. Now falls in behind car 18. Neve defends down to the horseshoe. Gets in front of his teammate there.
That was pretty much a carbon copy of the previous lap, Andrew, but swap spots between McEwen and Holman. And, well, he did essentially what Holman did to him the previous lap. Now he can see the top 7 full on a straight line, a single line. And as we head into the 2nd horseshoe, the west horseshoe, still, Andrew, nothing changed. The gap between the top 3, well, it's very low, but now it's important that the time for fun motorsport drivers, well, they're going to have the teammates working together.
This is about the only battle on the racetrack. The only other battle is Rob Jackson and Ian Manners for 10th position, both a couple of Pro-Ams. Rob Jackson with the SimTech Racing Exemplia crew, ahead of his teammate Martin Shirley. And this hardly even battle here. Manners the advantage over Jackson and pulling away.
Yeah, this is just trying to catch up, Andrew. This is a battle right here between the teammates. Even though they're working together, this could be interesting. Now, Chris Knox looks like he had a bit of a compromise line through the bus stop. Could bite him on the exit. We're going to see if McEwen and Neve can work together, if they can give themselves a bit of a push to maybe upset the top 2 monopoly that we have.
Through NASCAR turn 4, starting to figure out how they want to play these last 2 laps. It'll be 2 to go at the start-finish line. Neve stays down low. McEwen pulls out. He goes to the top side behind Anderson. RD 1-2, and here comes McEwen to the top of the board. 3 wide.
3 wide. Wow, McEwen is definitely going to be trying to outbreak them both. He outbreaks Mick Anderson. Can he go around the outside of turn 1?
Anderson, a big move. Knox goes wide. Anderson's going to have the lead, I think. Maybe not.
Yeah, teammates are gonna go side by side for, I guess, first and third, Andrew. As you can see now, Holman is gonna try to make it 3 wide. He's gonna go deep on the braking. That's gonna make contact with everybody.
That was low percentage if I've ever seen it, but he makes the move. He gets it. He gets on by, and now RD controls the whole top 3. It's all fun and games. Well, I shouldn't say fun and games. It's all fair is what I was going for in touring car racing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all fair. Now we have a 3. The top 3 is all one team, Andrew. Could McEwen or just McEwen at this moment, could he do anything to upset these top 3?
Andy gonna try. It was 2 laps to go at the start-finish line. About a lap and a half now, and we're on board with Chris Knox. He's the first line of defense for Mick Anderson and James Holman. Holman's already won a race. Knox has won a race. The only other driver that already needs to put on top of the podium is Mick Anderson.
And he's currently leading. He's in the position he technically needs to be, but definitely doesn't want to be, as often the car that's going to lose out if you're leading into the final lap of the race.
When it's 2 teammates behind you, I think it's okay.
Yeah, it might be okay if they put a nice roadblock for you, and he definitely wants to do so, Andrew, but will they? That's going to be the big question, as we're probably going to have a sneak peek on that to see if Holman and Chris Knox can catch up to Mick Anderson. Meanwhile, McEwen's still trying to close up to the 88, but looks like he cannot do so.
1 minute and change to go. It's the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams this time. Holman on the bottom. He comes on by. McEwen goes high. 1 lap to go at Daytona. 3 wide.
And Mick Anderson is going to drop from first all the way down to 4th. And meanwhile, McEwen is going to try to go for the 3rd place. He's actually going to go side by side with Mick Anderson as we head through the S's into the International Horseshoe. McEwen is going to have the inside line. Chris Knox is essentially putting a roadblocks on him. And you can see there Mick Anderson on the outside of the International Horseshoe. Can he do anything on exit? He might just still be side by side, Andrew. This is brilliant for 3rd place.
On board with Anderson. Gets clear of McEwen, comes on over. And it's still an RD top 3. And right now, Anderson, I think, in the best spot, especially with 2 teammates ahead. They might be a little more willing to let him go on by if he makes a move.
Yeah, it depends all on how much Chris Knox drops back, Andrew. If he drops back 0.5 of a second, it might all be over for Mick Anderson. And still, it's stall talks. Meanwhile, Holman is going to be leading them out of turn number 6, the number 88, really close to his teammate. What will they do, Andrew, as we head into the bus stop?
Your top 2 starting to break away just a little bit. Mick Anderson sitting back with Andy McEwen and Nick Clibbins just behind. And there you go, officially the white flag on the day, presented by Whiplash Simcams. This the onboard from Anderson. McEwen looks right. Now he looks left, down to the yellow line. A block from Anderson, moving all around down to the bus stop. McEwen knows he's going to have to wait. Anderson rolls right back up to Chris Knox, and we've got ourselves a race.
Absolutely. Anderson wants the best exit possible. You can see that Chris Knox really closing up to his teammate, Andrew. Will he push or will he look to the outside? We're going to get the answer. It's a bit of a push, so that should be safe. Mick Anderson, though, it's closing in.
Anderson maybe the run now at a NASCAR 4. It's Chris Knox and James Holman out front, coming down to the tri-oval. It's going to be an RD 1-2-3. Holman with the win. No, McEwen comes through and he goes second. Barely. 1/1000th of a second.
Wow. And he goes second, yes. Amazing. You can see the top 3, Andrew. We're slowing down for maybe a photo finish, and McEwen is like, I'll take that.
I don't think they were slowing down. I think he just had that much of a run. 3 cars across the racetrack like that opens up one heck of a hole of air. Fiona Siddons will come down to the Tri-Oval and win in Amateur in the 13th spot. Neve wins in Pro-Am. And behind Fiona, it'll just be Sam Smith, who had a very off day in the touring car. And Sir Alan Toon, who will go 15th in our final race of the day.
And what a finale we just had, Andrew. A fitting finale for this 4-race format that we always have on BSR.
It's always fun with BSRTC, especially when they finish things out like that. That was fantastic. Racing to the line. Your unofficial race results from race 4.
You can see there James Holman ends up winning the race. I was going to say ahead of his teammate Andrew, but Andrew McEwen, 65 thousandths of a second behind Holman, comes home in second place. 1/1000 ahead of Chris Knox that comes in third place. Mick Anderson ends up finishing in fourth. Nick Clibben is going to finish in fifth place ahead of James Neve, who once again wins the Pro-Am class. Joe Winter is going to finish in seventh ahead of Roger Morton, Scott Smith, and Ian Manners.
Finishing 11th in this final race of the day is Rob Jackson, just ahead of his teammate Martin Shirley. Rob never able to catch up to Ian Manners, just couldn't quite get that spot. Fiona Siddons goes 13th, Sam Smith 14th, then Sir Alan Toon, your top 15. And then you get a few cars 1 lap down or more. Alistair Hatcher 1 lap down, Glenn Humberstone 5 laps down, and Craig Schill 7 laps down ahead of Carl Hardy, who parks it on the first lap 8 laps down. So some rough times for 88 Tech in that final race, and that will wrap up our day of racing. But we've got drivers for interviews. We're going to start off with Fiona Siddons, and JP here is driver of the 927, finishing 13th in race 4.
So Fiona, you came in here with a healthy lead on the championship. Did you take the day a little bit safer, or did you go for a few moves here and there?
I think the fact that I had a load of contact during the night tells the story of that one. Didn't take any precautions at all. It's just full send and try and get as a better result as I could.
Yeah, absolutely. On race number 40, you ended up winning the amateur class, and obviously that's going to set you up nicely for the finale next week. Won it?
Yeah, definitely. As I say, not taking anything for granted. Penalty system next week 10 times greater, so anything can happen. So,
and well, obviously coming around here to Daytona and next week going to Sebring, 2 completely different racetracks. How do you adapt from such differences?
I've already been testing around Sebring. It's a good track. I love Sebring.
And what are the expectations coming up there? Obviously, the championship is one of them, but what else? Could we see maybe a sneak peek into the top 10?
Hopefully. I'd like to think I could get a top 10 out of it.
Well, absolutely. If you're already putting in the practice, chances are you're going to be the driver to beat on the amateur class. But with that being said, Fiona, how would you rate your day so far on the TCRs?
To race 1, it wasn't too bad. I mean, race 3, I had contact with Andy McEwen, and I was 90 degrees turning left down the straight after that. So, other than that, it's been a good night, I think.
Absolutely, and it's all shaping up to be a fantastic night next week. But with that being said, Fiona, I'm going to let you practice for it, and hopefully we can talk to you next week.
Yeah, thank you. I'll have a chat with you after the race, and I'll be setting the servers up again. So just wish Alistracher all the best for next week as well.
Absolutely. With that being said, Fiona, have a good one, and see you soon, I guess.
Yeah, catch you later, guys.
So, Andrew, that was Fiona Siddons, the leading driver of the amateur class. I mean, it's looking good for a championship, isn't it? And once again, I'm going to knock on wood. It worked a little bit on the beginning of the broadcast. Hopefully it works again at the end.
And I must say, I've really enjoyed the timing, the time of day in the sessions today. Much better. I don't say much better, but I've really enjoyed whatever changes Fiona made. I think I really enjoyed the time progression. I really enjoyed that sunset race we had in race 3. Fantastic. So props to Fiona there. James Holman is alongside now and goes to the top of the board in race number 4, matching that of race number 2, I believe it was, James. 2 wins of the day. Got to feel like light work.
Yeah, that was good. It was a shame I had to miss the first race there, but shout out to my nephew Ollie. It's his birthday today, so that's the reason why I missed it. So yep, that was good. kissed my lucky unicorn and got 2 wins, so that was nice.
Yeah, 2 wins in back-to-back races, actually. Just check the list, and it's races 3 and 4. So you miss race 1, you win races 3 and 4. You had a decent effort there in race 2. I think that's still a pretty good day.
Yeah, it's a good day. Thanks to my teammates, really. They were helping me out. I didn't have the pace in the Audi, just no mid-range at all. So, but once it gets up there, it's all right. But it just takes a bit of time. But yeah, no, it was good. And yeah, thanks to RD Sim Sport, great bunch of guys helping me there in those 2 wins and good strategic racing. I think it was good between the Time for Fun guys and SRD guys as well. So it was certainly tactical and made my brain fry a little bit. I was trying to work out how to get past both Time for Fun guys to get onto the back of my teammates. So no, once I pulled that good move off on Andy, it was yeah, the team did the bit for me. So no, thanks to Mick, thanks to Chris, they were superb tonight.
There were a couple of really big moves there, a little bit of contact, but in the end, you come out with the race win, and this sets you up really nicely for Sebring next week. 1 more round to go to claim this championship. How do you do it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be behind on the drop scores to Andy unfortunately because of that race 1 miss. So I think I'm going to have to make up about 60 odd points. So it's going to be tricky. Andy's obviously going well. He's going nicely, and he's got a good team around him with James and Michael as well next week. So yeah, it's going to be good, and hopefully it'll be. I'd say I don't think it's been unfair or dirty from my side, but hopefully it'll stay clean and. We'll see how we go on. I guess that the Hyundai will have the edge in terms of car performance because it seems to be the OP car at the minute in iRacing. So I think if I win it, I think it'll be a miracle, to be honest, with how bad the Audi is. But anyway, we'll see and give it my best shot. That's all I can do.
I think that just speaks to the determination and speed that RD Sim Sport has had and has helped you out with all season. Then James Holman ready to crown maybe himself as a champion next week at Sebring. James, thanks for your time. Congratulations on 2 race wins. We'll see you next week, also in Florida.
Thank you very much. Yep, take care of yourselves, and thanks for the stream again. Good work, guys, and yeah, see you next week.
There you go. James Holman winning 2 races here, the back 2 races at Daytona. Really solid effort. I know he had that, what I called a low percentage move, but it works out in the end. And sometimes you have to make those moves, JP. You have to take that chance and rub some guys up a little bit, especially if you're on a car that doesn't necessarily perform as the rest of those cars out there, and if you're trying to win a championship. So I know I called it a low percentage move. I think you might have heard that. I didn't mean that as dirty or unfair. Just, hey, he's going for a move that usually wouldn't work out, but it did work out that time, and he takes the win.
Absolutely. It was a bold move. It was a risky move to be done, obviously, on race number 4. It could have gone terribly wrong, Andrew, but yeah, it was a big move that ended up working perfectly well for him.
It looks like that's all the drivers that want to talk to us today, and I think definitely some annoyances for some drivers further down, like I'd imagine 88 Tech right now, not the happiest. We usually get Craig Schill, but seems like he's not here. So what we will do is wrap things up from Daytona. Again, the upcoming broadcasts here on the channel look as such, JP. 3 really good shows on this list. The MPI Cup Series All-Star Race at Texas Motor Speedway Sunday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. Then on Tuesday afternoon here, but in the evening for the UK, we wrap things up for the MX-5s at Sebring before we go to Indianapolis Raceway Park with the Outlaws Sim Series on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing, Andrew. Obviously, the finale for both BSR championships is on the line. Obviously, the MPI and the Outlaw Sim Series are also going to be amazing races. I cannot wait to see how those, I guess, will go down. And obviously, if you, the viewer, want to keep yourself up to date at all the news and obviously the live updates and the live coverage of those races, follow us on social media at facebook.com/pitstoptv, twitter.com/pitstoptv_, Instagram.com/pit_stop_TV, and youtube.com/pitstoptv1.
We wrap things up then from Daytona International Speedway. Just 1 round to go for BSR, whether it's the MX-5s or the touring cars, and that's next week at Sebring. A big thank you to everybody here at Pit Stop TV. We even brought a couple of new guys into the fold last night. JP Costa, though, joining me today, and everybody else behind the scenes doing a fantastic job. That will do it for us here at Daytona, and we can only hope that you join us Sunday for the MPI Cup Series also race again from Texas Motor Speedway, but if not, we'll see you Tuesday from Sebring International Raceway when we wrap up BSR Trophy Tuesdays for this spring season in 2022. You should definitely be there Sunday night, though. Until then, have a great night. We'll see you there.